We have so many listeners at the moment.
We do.
There's at least 2.
We're not counting Dave, right? Because
hey, by the way, we're rolling.
Oh shit.
Christ.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, that's good.
Cage fight. Oh yeah. Cage fight. Here goes Cage.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Cage Fight podcast.
Was that our fucking theme song?
Yeah, man.
I have never heard that.
Yeah, I know.
That was amazing.
That was incredible.
Yeah. Oh, we just started recently recording this band called National Pleasure.
Oh.
And they heard that we were doing this podcast here and thought they wanted to get involved because they're all huge Cage fans.
Yeah, shout out to Arlo Steele, the
Cage
vocalist.
Hetfield, the lead singer, right?
Oh, no, it was Arlo Steele, actually, but I think he's heavily Hetfield inspired. But,
Yeah, he gets down on some Hetfield, I know. I'll text him.
That was the
real
greatest
quick, see
song
what
I've
he
ever
thinks
heard in
about
my
that.
entire life. Well, second greatest after the national anthem, and then this,
I
and then
think you got Dave turned all the way down in there.
and then Old Town Road.
Oh,
by
yeah, Old Town Road.
Miley
is the
Ray
biggest one.
Cyrus. Sorry, Dave, I had you turned down.
The band members, the guitarists are Frank Cadillac and Vincent Cadillac.
Yeah, really brothers. They're really cool. They're twins.
The Cadillac Brothers.
Yeah, and
And don't forget Kits.
oh yeah, what is it? John Kitts Fist Cannon, the drummer, and I'm trying to remember the bassist here.
Yeah, he's kind of, I don't want to say he's forgettable, but his name is, Purvis Rumproast.
Oh yes, Purvis Rump Roast.
The historic
yeah.
Purvis Rump Roast.
They'll, I think they're gonna do a lot of interstitial music recordings and stuff for us. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. Although I've seen a little bit of strife in the band. The singer and the rest of them aren't all getting along. Arlo's he's just come on tough times. He's got a serious I don't want to air out his grievances on the air. I'm sure he's listening. So we're gonna let's
I mean, being in a band with your brother is hard. We see the toll that it took on Oasis.
mhm.
Yeah, we tried to get them to do the theme song too, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
They just got up there and started playing Wonderwall again. And
You couldn't even get the high flying birds or whatever.
Yeah, well, I sent a message to Oasis and I got a reply back from Liam Gallagher and it just said, fuck you.
That's
Is rude.
Yeah.
That's just his default response too.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm away right now, can't respond. Fuck you.
hmm But, yeah. So joining us for the first time today, we have our friend, Zeke the Freak.
What up?
Yeah. It's, Zach is his name. You want me to dox you and give out your last name and address?
Is
Yeah.
that who that is?
Yeah, I didn't tell you. I just hooked up the mic to the console. I hope you're not mad about it.
I didn't know he was gonna be here. And then I walked in and there was just this intense aroma of Axe body spray and sour gummy worms.
Well, I found out you don't have to shower if you have Axe body spray. So
That's
you
true.
just spray that all the time and you smell good. That's fact.
That's how you get into the Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments where they have a rule that you have to shower.
Yeah, they actually have that rule now.
Yeah.
If you smell bad, you get penalized.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's really good, actually.
It's ridiculous that rule is needed.
They should make that rule when you want to run for president. Got him.
Topical.
They should at least
Got
make
him.
some rule where you can't just grab things by the pussy.
But they let you do it.
Yeah, I guess.
You
Yeah,
get
they just
famous
let you
enough,
do it.
they just
Yeah.
let you do it.
I grabbed my cat by the putty tat. Hey,
He's here all
And
week.
yeah. Find me at the comedy club on Tuesdays.
Can we start rolling?
Open mic night.
Can we start now?
Oh yeah, we did start rolling.
Oops. We'll just have to cut that out then.
Yeah, don't worry. I do the editing, so I'll just.
So
gonna
me and
make
you are
one.
going to sound like jackasses.
We're gonna
but
sound
Nick's
like
gonna sound great.
yeah. He's gonna change the that putty tang thing to be in our voices.
Oh, I thought he was just going to add like a laugh track to it.
Okay, well, we're here today to talk to you about 2 movies that are, well, anyone who's listening, I hope you people are fucking happy with what we've done for you, because Jesus Christ.
We are 4 movies in, and I already wish I was never born.
Yeah.
You ever spent 4 hours on a Saturday morning, watching someone either screaming or floating aimlessly, because that's how I spent my Saturday this week.
Luckily, I didn't watch these back to back, so I got a little bit of a break from the insanity of Cage.
Well, you never know if something's actually good till you've seen the bad. And now we can definitely say we have seen the bad.
That's true. And, well, actually, I don't know what you're talking about even, but I guess we'll unpack that a little bit here.
But our two movies are, as we said at the end of the last episode, Deadfall and USS Indianapolis: Men of Courage. They're interesting films, to say the least. Well, I don't know if I can really say that about them, actually. I thought that was the bare minimum I could say, but when I was watching at least one of these movies, and I'm not going to spoil it for the listener, I couldn't care less about what was going on.
Well, see, here's one thing I will say with confidence is that both of these movies could have been subnamed Men of Courage.
It's true.
Because there was a lot of courage displayed. Not so much, maybe, by the Navy veterans. They signed up for that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you know how in movies they're always saying, I didn't sign up for this shit. You know what's going on? The exact type of shit they signed up for. Usually.
Exactly.
So
I don't know if when you sign up for the Navy, you have to do like shark survival.
I signed up for the Navy. I thought it was going to be all fun and games, but now somebody splashed me in the face.
Well, yeah, didn't you hear their theme song? It's like in the Navy.
Oh, yeah.
They were dancing.
They were singing that the whole time. I feel like that's the only song they could secure the rights to, and they just kind of went with it.
Yeah, they didn't hire a composer to do the score. They just paid the village people for in the Navy. And
why hire a composer when the village people have done exactly what needed to be done for this film?
Well, let's give a little one-sentence summary of each of these films here. We've got Deadfall, which it's about a con man who's accidentally killed his own father in a con and is trying to figure out some clues that his father left behind and figure out where they lead to possibly get his father's last wishes tied together in an order. Or that's the way I'm trying to describe it, but also it goes to a lot of interesting other places.
It's hard to give a general overview of this movie because it's
yeah, because I feel like every 5 minutes it's a completely different thing going on.
Yeah,
but especially early on in the movie. Then we've got USS Indianapolis: Men of Courage, which is just a pretty straightforward movie about the USS Indianapolis. If any of you have heard of that. It was the ship that was carrying the atomic bomb parts to be assembled all the way to Okinawa or Guam or the Philippines. I don't remember exactly where. They said it in the movie, and I don't remember it.
It was like TN or something like that in the Philippines.
Yeah, TNN.
Yeah.
It was Tiananmen Square, I think.
It was something somewhere not in the good old US of A.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. It's out in the world where I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Doesn't exist to me.
Yeah, and then the ship got sunk by a Japanese submarine, and the crew sat on the water for 4 days and got eaten by sharks, and then the captain got court-martialed for negligence in caring for the ship. So that's pretty much the overview of the movie. Honestly, I think that could be the whole plot summary of the movie, because nothing else that happens in it is really impactful or matters. The subplots don't really. Well, okay,
there's a lot of padding in this movie. Basically, Paddington Bear. You know what I'm saying? But what's great, again, we don't want to get too deep into this just yet. But what's great about the USS Indianapolis movie is that so many people, when they want to, learn something, they will sit down and they will spend months and months and months just reading a book. And why waste the time when you could sit down 2 hours?
Yeah, every book
done.
I've read, it takes me like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, it's like there's so many words on each page.
I was trying to read this book. It was called what was it? It was like Curious George. That was it.
Yeah.
Like I read the first page and I was like, whoa, I have a lot to think about here.
It's tough, but
Where
it's a
is this
saga.
going?
Or what?
Read the first page. Where could this be going?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's a man in a big yellow hat. And like, the dude's styling. Like,
what is his motivation though behind that hat?
And why is he trying to kill this monkey?
Yeah. And then, well, I set it down and I had to think about it for a month, really mull it over. And I read the next page and that's just kind of how it goes for me. I actually didn't finish it. It's over there in the corner at the pile of things that I've started and haven't finished book-wise. So
I'm waiting for the HBO series, and then maybe I'll go back and read them to see kind of where the inconsistencies are, but
no, yeah.
no immediate plans to read.
Yeah, did you hear
anything.
that? Who were they getting to write that? I think James Cameron is producing it.
George
But,
R.R. Cameron.
Yeah, George R.R. Cameron.
From the famous,
There's a lot of
Game of
explosions and
Avatar.
everyone dies.
Yeah,
I mean, what more could you ask for?
it's true.
It's true to the source text is what's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole lot of explosions and deaths in most Curious George books. I think. I've only ever read the first half of any one, but
Yeah, I won't give too much away, but he is a terrorist. So
oh, yeah. He's terrorism curious. He's like dipping his toes in the water.
yeah.
Just light terrorism.
I guess with that, we can jump right on into our first feature film that we will be discussing, which is Deadfall.
The Deadfall.
Now, here's a little overview of the facts we got here. Deadfall came out in 1993. It's, it was an interesting year. It was a year before I was born, a year after this gentleman was born. And
Year I was born.
Wow,
Look at the
us.
spectrum we got going here. Well, America was in an interesting place. I believe the George H.W. Bush administration had just ended. Bill Clinton was elected. He was coming in. The economy was doing quite well. I think, I don't remember.
The Kurt Cobain
I was
regime was coming to a close.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Kurt Cobain was he was out there doing heroin and
I think he was. There are reports that at the time of his death, he was trying to assemble a child army. So
yeah.
that's-
Yeah, I do remember hearing about that, but it was a little I don't know. I didn't know if I trusted the sources.
yeah.
'cause,
And you were
like,
young, so
I was young. I wanted to be in the army, the Kurt Cobain child army, but then
and I
like-
tried, but for me, the AK-47 just gets too hot when you're just letting loose. So
yeah, I know. When I'm standing there shooting an AK, I'm staring at it like, oh god, I want to fuck this thing.
hell yeah.
It's very hot, very sexy.
So
Anyways,
Deadfall.
that was the year 1993. But this film was directed by Christopher Coppola, a man who happens to be Nicolas Cage's brother. Yeah. So
I sent some foul play.
yeah, maybe a little bit of
You could tell this was like directed for Nicolas Cage.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it's a little bit of a pet project there because Cage is definitely the character that stands out in this film, aside from maybe one or two other people that shows up a little later. But we're not going to spoil that until we get into the plot. The production company was Trimark Pictures, so no Saturn Films this time, unlike the last two movies we did, which Cage owns. And I know everyone's always dying to hear about production companies. It's really the most interesting part of a film. There have been a couple of times when I go to the movies and I just see the production credits there and then walk right out afterwards because
Yeah, I mean that's
You already got the good bits.
exactly.
right. If I know who made it, I have faith in that person or don't. And so I see that I'm like, oh yeah, John from Canon Films did this one, so it's got to be
Good
piece
old
of
John.
shit. And then you can just leave.
good old John. He's a good guy, but he makes piece of shit movies, as you were
Oh, yeah.
saying. We got to cut that. John might be listening. He's a good, close, personal friend of mine, and I believe he knows some people in National Pleasure even too. So
Oh yeah,
the runtime is 98 minutes for this movie. It doesn't overstay its welcome necessarily. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but it's not too long, I don't think. The budget was $10 million, which I don't know how they got together this much money for this movie. Like, you guys have seen it, right? Right? I'm
That's
not alone
surprising.
here.
I think I saw it. I feel like most of that money went into like spray tanning one of the actors.
We're not going to say who, but...
Do they just use real money for the end scene?
I honestly, they might have. That might have been the whole budget.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll have to. Well, hold on. We'll watch this again and just count up all the cash that falls out of that briefcase and see. And I think it'll probably add up to about $9.5 million. But it grossed at the box office
Uh-oh.
$18,369.
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
But this is in $1993.
You gotta spend money to make money.
You gotta, and you know what? They did both. Well, they didn't. They made money, but
not quite as much as they spent.
exactly.
But it still holds true. They spent money and they made money. That's all you need.
Right. The turn of phrase has not been negated by this film, at least.
No. Let's see here. On reviews, we've got Rotten Tomatoes. Here's a whopping 0% on the tomato meter.
Big
So
fat Zippo.
no critic had a single positive thing to say about this film, which is lovely. But the audience score, and as we've said before here, we are men of the people, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess we haven't discussed it with Zach, but me and Mike, we're men of the people.
These critics are hacks, and
As a DC fanboy, I'm a man of the person. Critics lie.
exactly. That's true. That's true. And now, just to give a little bit of context for who Zach is, he watched the 4-hour cut of Batman vs Superman and said, "It's over already." And so that's the kind of person he is.
I really needed to see that scene of the Gotham Knights playing football. It was critical to the plot.
I'm waiting for the director's cut where Batman and Superman scream Martha at each other for 10 straight minutes.
I haven't seen this movie because I haven't seen anything that Nicolas Cage isn't in, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But
You're a purist.
Generally, I mean, I would have been cool with a football team cut in Deadfall. Like, it might have spiced something up. Or USS Indianapolis Men of Courage could have really used some spicing up. But that's not the film we're talking about.
I think if you added a random scene of football into Dreadfall, it wouldn't have affected the plot at all, and it would have fit in.
Yeah, it would probably just be taken as like some sort of artsy turn, because you could tell from a lot of what they were doing with this film, they were trying to be artsy. But yeah, there is no Metacritic entry on this film. It's not even on their website. I don't know why, but
For all we know, it might not even exist. We just had a simultaneous fever dream.
even though we didn't all watch it at the same time.
They don't know that. Nobody knows that.
Okay.
What do you mean we don't all get together and watch these movies?
What the fuck?
But just a couple of fun, quick facts about the film. The band Snot wrote a song about it called Deadfall, shockingly. I haven't listened to the song. I didn't want to give this film any more time than I did, but I'm sure that Snot, as a nu metal rap band, hardcore thing, probably wrote some very lovely songs about this film.
Their guitar player wound up being in Limp Bizkit.
Oh, wow.
Did he really?
That's
I
a
didn't
fun
even know
fact.
that.
Yeah, after Wes Borland quit the first time, that dude jumped in. I don't remember his name, but I know that definitely happened.
Yeah, I remember Snot broke up because they couldn't handle the success of their song Deadfall. And a few of the members went and started a band called Booger, and they did a song called Dreadfall.
And it was a lot more solidified.
Oh, yeah. They were a little bit crustier.
That one was for the kids.
Wasn't Kits in that band?
Oh, yeah, I think Kits, the drummer from National Pleasure, was also briefly in Booger.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, some weird fun facts about the film still. Tom Waits was considered for Charlie Sheen's role in this film, which I didn't even know that Tom Waits had done any acting. I just know about his music career.
I didn't know Charlie Sheen was in this film until the opening credits.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Tom Waits could have been he certainly would have been a more interesting Charlie Sheen, but I don't view him as the way Charlie Sheen was super, like, he was
Suave.
he was like Hugh Hefner or something. But
I mean, he was wearing the Hugh Hefner jacket, pretty much.
I see Tom Waits more as like a guy who's like gravelly and smoking 45 cigarettes out back behind the bar and like takes like a shot of whiskey with you. So maybe he wouldn't have pulled this off quite right. But
Well, I can see them changing that scene a bit to fit that personality more.
yeah.
Because, like, in all honesty, Charlie Sheen did not have to be in this movie.
No, he didn't have to be in any way.
They were just like, hey, we finished filming and we've got 45 minutes of material. So,
You guys want to play a weird pool game?
and the cage is already gone. So,
But Cage was told by director, his brother, Christopher Coppola, that he could dress however he wanted for his part. And you can kind of see some of that going on.
he really took that to heart.
This is full of a lot of famous Hollywood families, like the Coppolas. There's Cage and Mark Coppola, who plays a tiny role in the film, along with Talia Shire, and the director, Christopher Coppola. So this really sounds like a Coppola family project I'm willing to bet that the $10 million budget is all their own money that they poured into this. Peter Fonda is in it, and the Sheens. We've got Charlie Sheen and Renee Estevez in this film.
Oh yeah, and potentially the most terrifying fact is that one of the writers, Nick Vallelonga, is an Academy Award-winning writer.
Oh yes.
As of late, he was one of the writers for Green Book, and somehow also wrote Dreadfall. And I mean, I feel like his career is kind of moving backwards at this point. Like you want to start with a big hit, and then get to your Deadfalls. Once you're like,
it's true.
You get a following, and you're like, these people understand me.
You start out with your good work, and then eventually you stop giving a shit, and then start pumping out things like Deadfall.
That's a good word to describe this movie. Not giving a shit.
Yeah.
Not giving a shit. Not a single shit was given.
Another fun fact here, Michael Biehn is in the starring role, but Val Kilmer was going to star, but pulled out last minute. I can't say I blame him, but actually I can blame him, because who wouldn't want to be involved in this movie? Actually, now that I'm looking at it,
Batman doesn't need to be in this movie.
It's true.
But Superman.
But you know what this movie did need? Justice.
That's true.
But yeah, that's all I got for the fact sheet here. I think now we're going to move on to a little plot summary.
Word. So the movie starts. And that's the craziest part to me, is that it just starts.
It's there.
This exists, and it refuses to let you forget it. Yeah, like I said, I didn't realize that Charlie Sheen was in this movie until the opening credits. So some pretty informative opening credits, in my opinion.
You see, I was aware I spoiled myself by looking it up on IMDb. I didn't read the plot summary beforehand. I just I gave it a little cursory look over, and I was like, Charlie Sheen's in it? Like, what's with all these actually pretty big people in this no-name movie?
I kind of wish I had read the plot summary beforehand, honestly.
That would have helped a lot of the confusion.
Yeah, just give me some guidelines.
So I bought this movie off Amazon. I was going to rent it until I looked it up, and the rental price and the buying price is the exact same.
Damn.
They're just trying to give this away.
I mean, I'll take one.
Yeah, they're not gatekeeping on this one. Anybody who views it, they count it as a net positive, and they can just hang on to it and have it.
I actually tried to pay more for this movie, and they wouldn't let me. So
they kept prompting you. Did you make a mistake? This must be a mistake.
My bank has been calling me nonstop for the past 48 hours. So
it seems like you paid more than 99 cents for Deadfall. What's wrong with you? Are you okay?
Did you mean the other Deadfall movies that were better?
Were you looking for a dead pool?
Mm-hmm.
More like Dreadpool, in my opinion.
Got him.
While we were on the copy of the credits, what the fuck is wrong with my brain?
We're reading the credits off.
Yeah. My note on the credits was, these credits are dramatic and boring. I do remember it going on for like 2 minutes of just names popping up to the screen while very, very melodramatic music was playing in the background. Melodramatic music that didn't really deliver much, but
it worked. It got me pretty jacked up and ready for this.
I don't know, at the start of it, with like those credits and like setting that mood of like driving to this warehouse or whatever, I was like, oh, this is going to be an interesting like crime thriller or whatever.
Yeah.
I was mistaken.
Well, let's not disparage the man, but I feel like there's so many movies of this era, like crime type movies, where it just has to open with somebody driving up to a warehouse. So I wasn't sure what movie I was watching at first. It felt like pretty much every movie I'd seen on like TNT when I was 12 years old. But yeah, so they pull up to this warehouse
in a car with a big cigar smoking big shot guy talking him up. Michael Biehn is driving it. They're rolling on up. Michael Bihn's giving his little monologue about life in this business and how he cons people into thinking, he's innocent, easily manipulated, but he's the one that does the manipulating. Don't get it wrong.
You can't get it twisted with the Bean Man, because he's done this before and he knows what's up. So they're selling like cocaine, right?
Yeah.
They're buying like $50,000 worth of cocaine. Which, of course, to prove that you're selling cocaine in a movie, somebody has to dip their fingers in it and like taste it or sniff it off their hand. And they get all jacked up. I'm like, okay, all right. There's not much rock candy cut into this.
What was his exact phrase there? I don't recall.
He pops his finger in his mouth and says that he's seeing angels.
Oh yeah,
That's how you know it's good.
I think it was laced with LSD.
Well, did you guys notice, like, when you see that in movies, like, they just dip it and, like, there's a small amount on their finger or whatever. This guy, like, goes in for a handful.
Wait, does he really say that?
He
Yes.
does say that. He's seeing angels.
Yeah, I remember
And he
that.
does take quite a handful.
Like-
Like his tolerance must be way up because he's like,
It was disgusting looking.
Right, like that's some psychosis shit,
Yeah.
right?
that's why they got snot to
It was
do
an
this.
OD waiting to happen. Yeah. Yeah,
he just
that's
keels over right there.
Like, we probably shouldn't laugh at this.
No, I am laughing though. So yeah, he's seeing angels. That's some good smack he's got going on here. But
Yeah.
this is where things go awry. Now, what's the worst thing that could happen when you're doing a drug deal? Let me give you a hint. Fucking rats, dude.
Yeah, fucking
Rats.
police affiliated motherfuckers wearing wires.
Fucking coppers.
yeah.
So a little gunfight breaks out.
Yeah, Bean walks up to the guy who's selling the drugs and he's like, he's wearing a wire, kill him! And then I don't know why he says kill him, because he's the one who does the killing. The other guy doesn't even have a gun. So he pulls out a gun and shoots the drug dealer man dead, and then cops start pouring down from upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
And,
This place is laced with rats.
The fat guy who's buying the drugs runs off, but leaves his money.
I mean, you don't need the money at this point. He's seeing angels over here.
Yeah, you're just trying to get out of there. Who can think of to carry a briefcase?
that big handful of coke that made him see angels was worth all the money that he left. All the money
that's
in
what
the
he came
world,
for.
really.
He
Yeah.
just really needed one fucking big old hit of cocaine, and he's done.
And I just wanted to make note of the fact that I did notice part of the goal of this movie was to make it kind of artsy-ish. And there were a lot of Dutch angles, which, for the person who doesn't know what those are, they tilt the camera sideways and kind of shoot upwards or downwards to give it like a weird look to it. And there's just hundreds of them. Every single shot as the fat guy is running out and his gunshot's going down is a Dutch angle. And it's a little bit like, okay, I get it. Like, this is kind of like weird and twisted and not the way it was supposed to go down, except
The audience can't really tell that the drug deal has gone awry until they get a little bit dizzy, which is what I experienced. And as soon as I was getting a little bit woozy, I knew that things were not going to be okay.
And in the fight, they made it look like Michael Biehn was shot too. It turns out he's not shot, and he was running a con on that guy that he pulled up. So,
Guess what? He was the manipulator.
bam.
Bam.
Like he said in his monologue.
Well, I don't know about you guys. This is at the point in the movie where I was confused. Because
right
like,
off the bat.
they do this scene where it's like, oh, he's wearing a wire, gunfight breaks out, people die.
Mhm.
But then like they get up and like the cops are like all laughing and everything, and
Mhm.
Michael Biehn gets up and everything. So I assumed Michael Biehn was like an undercover cop. And it's like, oh, this was all like they're trying to catch this guy or like get this money off of this guy buying drugs or whatever. Didn't realize till the very end of the movie they are not cops.
Oh, really?
I thought the same thing, honestly.
Like,
I was a little confused in the moment there, but once the cops started like laughing and talking to him, and they're like, "Oh, he's actually dead," then I kind of picked it up. But I will agree that it was not well explained at all. Like, in fact, I didn't even know like any of the relations between any of these individuals going down. And for the listener, the man who was giving the drugs was actually shot, even though he wasn't supposed to be, and that was Pops to me. Which
Big old Pop. Pop got popped.
Michael Bihn's character keeps referring to him as Pops, and for a second I thought it was his dad, and then he keeps calling him Pops so much and making no reference to fatherhood or being related that I was like, hold on, is this guy's name just Pops and it's not his dad? Like,
Yeah,
Wait,
I
was
thought
that not his dad?
it was his dad.
Oh, okay.
But I thought at first he was just like a mentor of some kind.
Yeah, the whole movie had me second guessing myself constantly because of just lack of explanation about tons of things.
This is where I was confused for that whole cop thing, because they made it so his dad died and all these cops are like sad and they're like, oh my god, you killed him, and they tell him to run.
Uh-huh.
At this point I was like, oh, is Michael Biehn not a cop? but his dad's a cop and they had him do this? Like, these are the worst cops in the world. Why are you just getting outside people to do this? And I was just so lost on like how this dynamic works. Like, is he an actual con man or is he a cop or like what is he?
But yeah, but we can say in retrospect that he's a con man. His dad is a con man, but
He's a cop man, maybe.
yeah, a cop con. His dad is laying there dying a very dramatic death and yelling about. I didn't even notice this. Like he says something to him, like, and
He
then
took the cake.
yeah,
The cake.
The cake.
I didn't hear that. Like literally, I didn't know he was looking for the cake. I just knew he was looking for something for his dad until much later in the film when they call it the cake again. I was like, oh, he said the cake, which
I thought it was just like an old rambling man. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck does
Yeah.
the cake mean?
I just assumed that he was like
it's a lie.
in the throes of death and just started to
Yeah.
reference Portal or whatever.
Like where they try to go for like a rosebud thing where it's like, oh, what does this mean throughout the movie? But like after that scene, I didn't think about the cake at all.
I really
Yeah.
did not either.
I didn't think about the cake at all either. It was just like a whole nother movie was happening, and then
Yeah, because so we get the cake thing, and then it kind of transitions to Michael Biehn, I guess mourning, but he's just kind of like
he's drinking
drunk.
vodka in his underwear.
he's curled up on his by his bedside, drinking vodka and weeping, looking like a real sad sack of shit. I mean, I guess if you killed your own father, that might happen, but you
Yeah.
know,
And I guess it's revealed there that there were supposed to be blanks in the gun that he shot
Right.
his dad with, but they were not put in that gun.
right? So it's like basically this inspired them to film The Crow, I think.
Oh yeah. But then we move on to his father's funeral where he's being buried, and for some reason his father's associates are actively talking about his father's crimes and paying him for the con job that he was in, while the gravediggers, like 4 of them, are standing there throwing dirt on his father's coffin. And it's like, how?
They're shoveling dirt into his grave, and one guy says, "Hey man, maybe you should have checked the chamber."
Yeah, what an asshole, right?
We wouldn't be here right now burying this man if you would have just checked the chamber.
Like
Read the room.
like he clearly feels terrible. He's been like drinking in his underwear for who knows how long.
Yeah.
And this guy just like, you killed your dad, fucker.
Yeah.
Like,
Be
screw
more
you,
careful
guy.
next
Hey,
time.
why are you crying? You did so stupid, idiot.
ah,
It was
You big dumb dummy. Yeah.
weirdest funeral I've ever seen. Just like,
Yeah, and then that guy there says, like, this is all your father had, and he gives him a key to, like, a locker, you know, that they have lockers at a bunch of public places where there's a key in there, you can put something in there, take the key with you while you're gone, and then come back and get your stuff. Like, I've seen it at museums, and
yeah,
bus stations, stuff like
yeah.
that.
lockers, storage units. We've heard of them.
Yeah.
and I guess the Bean Man.
Oh, but you're also leaving out the funeral. There's this mysterious woman
Oh,
at one of the
yes.
Oh,
graves.
yes. Who
Mhm.
he thinks for a second that he like hallucinated her or something in his drunken stupor.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
you do.
I tend to hallucinate when I'm drunk.
Yeah. Give me one sip of that sweet, sweet vodka, and I'm seeing all types of shit.
Are you seeing angels?
Exactly. Need
I take a big fistful of whiskey, shove it in my face, and I'm seeing angels, man.
I just snort a whole line of bourbon. So yeah, he goes to this locker. He finds like a letter.
Yeah, he
Sorry.
finds a duffel bag with a letter inside of it that says something about his dad's brother Lou, so his uncle.
Yeah.
Which is the point where it wasn't until a little bit later when he calls him Uncle Lou that I actually realized that that was his dad and he's not just named Pops. But-
Yeah, I mean to not confuse myself,
What if Uncle Lou is also a nickname?
that could be Uncle. That's kind of a cool nickname, honestly.
Yeah, if I ran a crime syndicate, I'd probably call myself like
Hey,
Uncle
buddy,
Lou.
go see Uncle Lou.
Hey, buddy, here, why don't you go see Uncle Lou upstairs there? He's got some stromboli for your mama.
It's not that crazy to think that somebody could be named Uncle Lou when we meet a giant guy named the Baby. So is it Big Baby or is it the Baby?
I think it's the baby,
It's
Yeah, it's the baby.
Baby.
which is never explained.
Which
No.
yeah, I think he just
He
looks
has
like he should be wearing a
lollipops?
diaper. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. He does make a stripper pop a lollipop into his mouth before he can start a conversation.
Yeah.
So we find out from this letter, that his father has an estranged brother, and they kind of hint that like a woman came between them, right?
Yeah.
And he's got this picture of like his mom and dad, and it's mysteriously cut off on the right side.
Yeah, it's all ripped.
Yeah. Which
And then you see that the woman in that photo is basically wearing exactly what the woman at the grave was at the funeral,
Right.
and had the same red hair. So
right. So you can tell it's the same woman because wardrobe could only afford one outfit for her, and that's how you know who that is. So yeah, he basically says that he hated his brother. They didn't bro before hoe or whatever, and all that stuff.
yeah, it was actual bros, not before hoes.
And so throughout this this whole intro to the movie, we learn that Michael Biehn, I think he's reading off cue cards or something. He's just like very heavily reading each line, and it's very flat.
Oh yeah,
this is a man who has at this point already been in the Terminator, the first one. He was in Aliens.
The whole time I was looking at him, I was like, I feel like he's in other things that I've seen, but I didn't remember. Oh yeah, he was what's his name? Hicks in he's the main good Marine in Aliens. I'm remembering this now. Yeah.
And so
It's all occurring to me.
He's the guy that they'll put in a movie because he has that face, but you don't want to give him the lines, and that's what we learned from Deadfall.
True.
He's not a lead by any means.
He's not an especially charismatic man.
Right, and I mean he does have that look where like throw him in an action movie, fine, but I guess don't give him so many monologues or.
Yeah, definitely not voiceover monologues, because every time he's talking in them, I'm like, this feels so, like, even in 1993, I bet this was cliched and, like,
Yeah.
annoying.
Well, I kind of thought that's what they were going for, is like, oh, this is the crime thriller of the 90s, like, not parody so much, but as, like, an homage kind of to all of it.
Yeah, I could see that.
But then it takes itself really seriously, so are they trying to go for that, or were they just like, let's make a crime thriller and do all the cliches?
It definitely seems like one of those movies where they took themselves really seriously, but way after the fact, they're like, oh yeah, it was totally supposed to be a big gab. We were laughing our butts off the whole time at how nuts this movie is. It's supposed to be that way.
Oh, yeah. So, Michael Biehn goes out west looking for Lou, his dad's brother, his uncle, and he ends up sitting in a cafe where he's pretty sure Lou is involved in this somehow. And he sends a note to his waiter saying, like, I'm looking for Lou, I'm his nephew.
And everybody, like, turns around.
Yeah, everybody's staring at him.
Well, they do a really long scene of, like, him watching all the people, and like there's secret bets taking place.
Oh yeah. There's like a note being given at a pretzel stand that's put in a cup of coffee that's taken by a waitress, and I'm like, this is weird and convoluted.
Which is then never referenced again.
Nope. Goes nowhere. But at this point, the Cage Man appears, and we get our first glimpse of the glory of Nicolas Cage.
And let me just preface this with it is immaculate. His presence in this movie is just insane.
Yeah. Cage is really the part of this movie that makes it worth watching, honestly.
Oh yeah. If he wasn't in this movie, I probably would have been playing Garfield Food Truck on my phone.
Yeah.
So
Hiring Garfield Eats.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But Cage says the immortal first line of the film, pick a card. And he says, in a crazy affect, this man is talking in the weirdest ways I
was
can
gonna
imagine.
Say, you deliver that line much better.
Yeah, I was trying to go for what he was going, but I can't really capture. I can't talk like that.
He has a weird mix of like trying to do that classic mob voice while also kind of being stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
and
crazy.
I like he's doing the classic kind of mob voice, but you can tell that he's trying to differentiate slightly, but he doesn't know how exactly. Like he's going to make it different, so he's just like kind of yelling stuff.
Yeah. And we can tell that he was able to wear whatever he wanted because he's got this weird, like, 70s giant collar shirt that's, like, covered in weird color photos all
Yeah,
over
it looks like those stickers you see on people's suitcases of all the places they've been.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
And he's got a giant ring on his finger. It looks
yeah.
like he just won the Super Bowl or something.
I mean, and he might have. They don't really explain much. But so he looks insane. He has this like weird, extremely oily, greasy tan. Like it looks like they just sprayed him down. And he's got like a little creepo pencil mustache. The first thing I thought when I saw him was the uncle from Napoleon Dynamite was so obviously
That's what it
inspired
is.
by this character.
He is Uncle Rico.
He seriously is. Like I feel like a lot of the prep for that movie was just watching Deadfall over and over again.
Could have been. I was thinking he's like Paul McCartney if Paul McCartney was crazy, drug addicted. But yeah, he's got a weird look going on. He's got a weird accent going on, and it turns out he's scouting for Lou. And he's like, "Well, why don't we take a walk with me?" Huh? And he's
the whole bit,
oh yeah,
because it comes up a few times. Is like the whole pick a card.
oh yeah, pick a card. Yeah.
High card, you tell me something. Low card, I tell you something.
Oh yeah.
Bean pulls a card. Oh my god, it's a Joker, and Eddie knew that it was going to be a Joker.
Yeah, he says it's a Joker.
Yeah. Crazy. Joker's wild.
Yeah, and Steve, what really brings this all around is that this is where you learn subtly that Nicolas Cage's character likes to embrace chaos. You know, he is the Joker.
He's chaotic evil. I
Oh,
believe.
yeah.
This is who should have been in the Batman trilogy.
Honestly, yeah. Because you know what?
I think
He's still alive.
Yeah, I think he could have beaten Heath Ledger's Joker with this performance.
We'll probably get to it later, but his card thing, I do think, is a very interesting thing in this movie.
Yeah, they
when
do
it's
call back
explained
to it quite a few times.
So Cage, who is named Eddie in this film, takes Michael Biehn, who I don't remember what he's named in this film. So
I wouldn't be
Joey.
surprised if it was Michael.
Oh, it's Joey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they start by calling him Joey, which is what I started writing in my notes. But then at some point they start calling him Joe, and I don't know if Joey's just kind of like a cute, hey, I'm Diane, fuck me nickname. But,
Oh yeah.
Maybe it signifies him growing up.
oh yeah, he does mature a lot in this film.
But so they go up to Lou's office that overlooks the market, and Lou's standing there and says, "I haven't seen my nephew in 30 years." And I'm like, "Oh, so Michael Biehn is supposed to be over 30 years old in this film." I didn't recognize.
Oh, I thought it meant like he saw him when he was born or something, or like when he was like a real small baby.
Yeah, I
that would
think
make sense.
because I got the feeling that he didn't know that his uncle existed even. So
Oh yeah.
um,
In the middle of this conversation, the Cage Meister takes some pills and just starts fucking gyrating.
this was incredible. He just sits off to the side while Joe and Uncle Lou have a conversation. And the conversation is not the focus of the scene. It is Nicolas Cage sitting on the side, popping a couple pills, and then just shaking around like a madman. And it was fucking great. It was fantastic.
And he's like acting as a receptionist now for some reason.
Right.
Like,
And so obviously, I don't know if we have mentioned this, but Uncle Lou is actually his dad's twin brother. So basically,
yeah.
seeing Uncle Lou is like seeing his dad again, and it gets him all emotional and fucked up.
The
To
only
which-
difference is Lou's got gray hair, and,
Right.
and
Right.
his
Pop
dad had
has dyed his hair,
yeah.
and Lou hasn't figured out how to. So this is where we get the line from Cage. Looks like you just seen a ghost friend. Because he calls everybody friend,
Yeah.
really aggressively.
Looks like you just seen a ghost friend.
that was perfect.
But yeah, apparently Lou already knows that Bean's dad is dead, that the good old Pops man, who is apparently named Mike. So,
Hell yeah.
Sure.
yeah.
You could be saying literally any male names and it would sound correct.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no real distinction between any of these people.
But he doesn't know that Bean is the one who shot him by accident.
Right. Well, in
So-
fact, he lies and says he wasn't even there when it
Yeah.
happened. He says, like, oh, I wish I could have been there.
Yeah. Michael Biehn keeps saying how him and his dad are like a partnership and like a team,
Yeah.
Mm.
but for some reason he wasn't at that job.
Yeah, he
and-
says, we were a partnership, we were a team. I can't do this anymore without him. But he also says he did a lot of things off on his own,
Yeah.
which doesn't really sound like a partnership or a team. I
He,
don't-
he did a couple things off on his own, like he died without me and I wasn't there. And at this point, I'm yelling at the TV, like, you did it, you were there, you should have checked the chamber.
You liar, man. Yeah, check the chamber then. What don't you
Check-
think the chamber?
That's why he didn't let Uncle Lou know that he was there, because if he hears you should have checked the chamber one more fucking time, he's gonna lose his shit.
But Lou suggests that Eddie show him around town, and we're left with a lingering shot of Cage angrily gripping the arm of the chair. It really
Oh,
zooms in on his fingers as he's just going at it on it.
He's instantly jealous of the bond that is stricken up between Joe and his uncle, because God forbid.
I think this is also where they like plant the seeds where like Uncle Lou is a mob boss or something.
Oh,
Yeah. You kind of get that feeling when they're in the diner and Michael Biehn asks for Uncle Lou and everybody's like, oh, like everybody knows him for some reason. Everybody's like looking around like, who's this guy? Who is he? Why is he asking for this guy? He's asking for Lou.
So you're Lou's nephew, huh?
Let's get a fucking blood test over here. Because I don't believe you're his nephew. So
Eddie shows him around town. We're introduced to Eddie's girlfriend, Diane.
Mm-hmm.
A real fine lady.
Clarification: girlfriend or wife?
I have no idea. They're just somehow...
Because at one point she says like she's married to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
but-
recall. I might have been writing something down during that, but I do remember it being... She even says at one point, I don't sleep with him. And
Yeah, but
then Bean's like, that's nice to know.
It's like,
I
wow.
literally think that's what he says. I'm not...
All I know for sure is that the character the baby refers to her as Eddie's let me look at my notes here, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
So that could mean anything, really.
Yeah, and Bean's staring nicely at Diane. I can't understand anything that Cage is saying at this point because his accent is so fucking ridiculous.
yeah, because this is when he drives him to like her house to pick her up or
Yeah.
something. And
I do remember catching one thing here as he's starting his car and it won't start. He yells, fucking fucker fuck. And
that's the most coherent thing he says in the entire film.
Bean says he's a little suspicious of Eddie. He thinks Eddie's a little too flashy, a little too, caught up in the money that he's making from these cons and not caught up in the work and making sure that he stays under the radar so he can keep conning. And as he's saying this, we get a shot of Cage flipping through his money saying, I gotta say, this just keeps coming.
It's he's clearly a man who is trying to give off a certain vibe, and I think it's gonna get him in trouble.
there was also a costume change in between this, where now Eddie's wearing that like white tux
Oh,
for some
Yeah,
reason.
he's wearing like a reverse tux with a black shirt and a white coat and pants.
He's Scarface. He's, Eddie Scarface. Is his name in this movie.
Bean's just wearing a nice black button-down shirt with black pants, I think. I don't fucking remember.
generic white male outfit.
Yeah, generic white male outfit that's fancy. And Diane's wearing this big, flashy, long red dress. And they go on out to a bar. I don't know why you would go to this like divey looking bar when you're dressed like that. It doesn't seem like a place that I would go in a tux, but yeah. And they run a little con where Diane is like, she's wearing a really fancy bracelet, and they make note of the bracelet, make sure the bartender sees the bracelet, and then they leave and come back saying like, oh, I must have left it here. It's got to be here. Where else could it be? And then Cage goes up and he says like, hey, my lady, she lost a bracelet that's really important, and if you can find it, I'll give you $500.
And inscribed in the inside of the bracelet is fuck motherfucker fuck.
And I think hi fucking yeah is written next to it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Cage gives the bartender a phone number, and says, call him if you find it. And then they leave the bar, and immediately Bean walks out holding the bracelet, and he's like, hey, I just found this in the bathroom there. And then the bartender's like, I'll give you $100 for that. And he's like, make it $200. And she's like, all right, fine. I'm going to make $300. Calls the phone number. Dead air. Like nothing.
What?
It's a disconnected number.
And that is how you get $200. Success.
You can tell they're making the real big bucks here.
Like, holy shit. What if we told her it was worth $600 and we made $250? And it would have worked. It would have worked too.
It would have been really good. I don't know why they don't set their sights higher. What if, like, if you give me that bracelet, I'll give you $1.5 million.
If you
And she happens to have $1 million in the register.
Exactly.
that's how they actually. This is basically they're telling the tale of how they got the money to make this movie. $200 at a time.
They just kept going around to bars in real life, just conning poor waitresses.
Yeah. No, at this point in my notes, all I have written down is, what the fuck is Cage saying or doing? Because he's doing some weird shit.
Because, like, as he's, like, saying, oh, I'll pay you all this money, there's a bunch of other words going on, but he's, like, half crying?
Yeah.
He's getting all worked up, and it's really hard to get a read on his emotions for most of this. So I just kind of defaulted to rage, just assuming that he was
Rage and craziness.
right.
And,
So he's like so angry that he's almost crying, which happens.
but,
It's happening to me right now.
yeah, throughout most of this movie, I only understood about 50% of Cage's lines because of his weird way of talking and acting in this film.
I couldn't tell in some scenes, was he dubbed over? Like, redoing lines? Like,
I don't. He might.
or
have
is it
been
just the way he
ADR'd.
talks? Like,
See,
it
that would not
seems like
surprise
a disconnect
That would not surprise me
from,
at
like,
all.
the sound of everyone else, and then him just
Yeah, it sounds so
seemed
different.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that could be because this movie just didn't have a script. And so they just put everybody on set, and they're like, okay, yell some shit. And then if it's not good enough, we'll just yell some shit in the studio later and put it right over.
But yeah, after the little stolen bracelet con, Eddie gets a call from Lou saying they're gonna make Bean collect $1,500. Yeah, $1,500 from a strip club owner named The Baby.
The baby.
Oh, he was the owner? I thought he was just, like, a dude.
I think he's the owner.
Okay.
But
He's a baby, and he loves his boobies. That's how he got the nickname.
And lollipops.
Oh, yeah.
as we meet the baby, they're like, "So you're the baby?" And he's like, he just holds up a finger and saying, "Hold on here." Turns to the lady next to him.
He's surrounded by strippers.
Yeah,
Just
just
wall to
surrounded.
wall.
They're all like hanging on him, and one of them like takes out a lollipop and just gives it
pops
a lick, and then hands it over to him, and he sucks on it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the baby."
Wait, hold on. I need my baba.
But
So that's how you learn he's the baby.
then after Eddie gives Michael Bean the job that he has to do, tells him to go to baby, he walks out to the car and he's like sniffing glue or a marker or something. I couldn't tell. He was just had something in his hands and he's furiously sniffing and snorting it and saying some ridiculous shit, gyrating and saying like, "Oh, he's gonna die in there. He's not gonna get this money."
No one gets the money from the baby.
Yeah, so we get the gist that he's he's put poor Joey on a suicide mission. And then we see Joe and the baby outside the bar, and they're fucking all chumming up,
Yeah, shaking hands or hugging.
which
It's all turned
sends Cage into such a rage the marker almost goes all the way up his nose.
Yeah. And
He's not handling this well.
Turns out Joey got the money.
Yeah, or so we think.
da-na-na. Spoilers for
Next
a little
week
bit
on
later.
Cage Fight.
But we cut to a shot of a man with an enormous beard who's following Bean around and watching him, I think.
Oh yeah,
And
Yep. This
Who was that guy?
I don't know. That whole plot line seems to go nowhere except to just send Eddie into a rage again later. But
yeah, there's
I'll talk about it when we get to that. But
I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping one of you guys would be like, "Oh, they reference it right here," but
they
no.
really just like in between scenes they kind of just show this guy to remind you that he's there for some reason, and that's it. I think like there was a few characters in the movie where the only reason that I took note of them is because they had like a ridiculous hair or beard that looked fake, and then it turns out later in the movie it was supposed to be fake.
Yeah.
And
Rip that beard right off.
For reasons.
yeah. I mean, you got to find the biggest, fakest beard.
Joey, Michael Biehn, goes to Lou's office to look for clues for the cake and what the cake is. And while he's there, he finds a one-way ticket to Tahiti in Lou's name. And also finds a photo, the photo that his dad had of him and his mom that was torn. He finds the full photo, and it's all three of them. It's Lou, his dad, and his mom, all standing there together.
You can tell they're all fucking this.
That's a devil's triangle right there.
Oh yeah,
It's
with twins.
It's a swingy thing. So he gets to his apartment, and Diane is just there waiting, and she starts just making out with him immediately upon entry.
Oh yeah.
At this point, she says like she tries to like get with Joe, and Joe's like, "Hey, no, I don't do that," and she's like, "Hooking's all I know," or something like along those
she's
lines,
just
right?
Like this is all I have. Like I gotta do stuff for me. I'm not in with Lou or Eddie or any of them. I go with him because he buys me nice things and things. But this is what I do for me. And then he's just like, okay, well in that case, I'm gonna kiss you more.
No, at first he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Kissing's gross.
But then she like gives her sad story, and then he's like, come here.
Yeah.
Never mind what I just said.
that just turned me the fuck on.
Yeah,
And-
so we get a very long, unsexy sex montage.
It was the quietest sex scene I've ever watched.
Oh
I feel like they hired Foley artists to do some overdubbing on that, and they just got too horned up. they didn't add anything to it.
Yeah, like the sound guy's like watching it, trying to sync up the audio, and is just like jacking off there and forgets to do his job.
They had to cut out the audio because you just hear heavy breathing from the cameraman the whole time.
Yeah, and I don't know why he's jacking off, because I was not turned on by this sex scene at all. Like it was just basically a bunch of titty shots and nothing else.
Everything was just so slow too. Like
Yeah.
Well,
every scene was like them slowly moving on each other.
Yeah, and just slowly peeling off clothing. Neither of them seeming that interested, and they're all just kind of standing there with,
Not that I need a rigorous sex scene in a movie, but it just seemed really weird being really slow, really quiet.
no.
see, I like a little bit more subtle. And you guys might not know this, but when it comes to love, you take it slow.
Well, this they take it very slow, and the sex scene goes on for like at least 3 minutes. And
Unnecessarily long.
yeah, it's I'm just sitting there like, can we move on to the rest of the plot? This isn't turning me on. It's not adding anything to the movie.
But you see the Bean's butt.
That's true. We see a little bean butt.
It does add a little bit to the movie in that it just really proves that Michael Bihn's entire purpose in this movie is to just emasculate Nicolas Cage
It's true.
at every turn.
We get a little bit more of that later too, but
He pulls his pants down in front of a cute girl.
after they have the sex, we get a little pillow talk there, where Bean reveals that his mother died when he was a baby, and
That's what I talk about right after boning.
yeah, that's usually where I go.
Well, for some reason, he lies about it first because, like, she sees the necklace that I guess he wears now,
Oh yeah, he wears a locket with her photo in it,
Ah, yeah.
and he's
she's
like, "Oh, that's my ex-girlfriend that I don't like to talk about." And then she's like, "Really?" And he's like, "No, that's my mom." Okay, dude, like that was an unnecessary thing to lie about.
Hey,
Yeah,
you know that orgasm you just had? That huge orgasm? That's how my mom died.
But yeah, so then it's Lou's birthday, and Bean's like, I want to get a little closer in with Lou, get in on that. So he goes over there, and we see Lou's like 20-year-old girlfriend, who's like, she sounds like Janice from Friends almost, just rambling like, "Oh, look at you, it's your birthday, you gotta blow out the candles there." And he's just like, I hate birthdays. And he's like, "It's your birthday, do this, I made it." And he's like, no, I don't like this. And he's like, "Fucking do it, god damn it."
At which point he's like, honey, you know I hate women. And then she leaves. And that's really all that happens.
Yeah. Then we cut back to that strip club that the baby owns. Cage is sitting there at the front thing, chugging beer, yelling, and just being all around a fucking weirdo.
Right.
And
As you do in a strip club, you just kind of scream into the abyss.
yeah.
The one stripper on stage is just dancing for Nicolas Cage for some reason. Even though the strip club is full of people.
Yeah. She's
She's
like,
right.
hey, you want to yell into my asshole? So this is where we find out, or Cage finds out that, so Joe paid out of pocket, for the baby's debt.
Yeah. He said, I think the baby's exact words were, all he said to me was, all you gotta do is walk out there and shake my hand and the debt's forgiven.
Yeah, because basically he's like, I'm a baby. I don't have a bank account.
Oh, in case we didn't describe, the baby is a huge black man.
He's a huge black man, but he is a baby.
And he doesn't have a bank account.
So
Wears diapers. It's a little weird.
this is this is where like Cage's rage has already been sparked.
Yeah.
He thinks Joe's after his job.
Right. And the baby suggests that to him. He says that he's gunning for your job and probably fucked your bitch.
Which I don't know where he pulls that out of, but it's true and it was accurate.
He knew exactly what happened. It's like Joe walked up and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna pay your debt, and we're gonna shake hands for this guy outside." And look at him over there. I'm about to go fuck his wife? Question mark? I don't. So this is when the like rage spiral begins, and he starts screaming shit. More
things
shit.
that I can't understand. Like
I don't
he's
know
just
what he's
yelling
saying.
it so
All you
loud.
need to understand is the fuck.
He screams for a good like 3 seconds, held out. The whole club is staring at him. We scroll by at the bar. Big beard man is standing there,
Big
like,
beard guy's
listening
back.
in.
So
And,
he's
and
watching
follows
this
him out.
unfold. Yeah, Cage storms out of the bar and
Well, hold on. First, we have to mention he beats a random stranger for some reason, and in the process, yells the immortal line, "Hi, fucking yeah!"
Hi, fucking yeah.
I'm almost positive that couldn't have been in the script, but Cage was kind of looking for his yippee-ki-yay motherfucker moment, and he was like, "Here we go. Hi, fucking yeah."
It's definitely the best line in this movie.
Oh yeah,
By
It's-
far.
If that wasn't in every trailer, that's probably why nobody saw this movie.
it's true. And in fact, this scene is probably my favorite scene of the movie. Honestly, if you're, I'm not gonna say that you shouldn't watch these movies with us, but you could probably skip this movie and just look up Deadfall strip club scene on YouTube.
I do not endorse that.
What
You should watch this whole movie.
So after watching this movie, I had to talk about it to somebody. So I just looked up the Eddie scenes and just showed that to somebody. Because that's all you really need to watch.
Yeah.
It's all you remember after watching it anyway.
Yeah, so Eddie goes out to his car, Beardman follows him and like attacks him.
Yeah, tries to kill him.
And
For-
Cage
for
pulls
some
off
reason.
his beard in the process.
Yeah, for some reason it was a fake beard. This we don't know who this guy is, but he attacks Eddie and Eddie kills him.
Before he kills him, he says, "Who sent you?" And the guy says, "Sam fucking Beckenfall," which I've made a point of writing down because I thought that would be important. Never
It's-
addressed again. Who the hell is Sam Beckenfall?
I
No idea.
could not tell you. I hoped one of the three of us would pick up on that, but I don't think it was explained at all.
I don't think so.
I'm curious to see if there's like a bunch of deleted scenes that were supposed to be in this movie, or if they had no idea what they were talking about either.
They might be out there somewhere, but there's honestly so little information about this movie online that I don't think we'll ever find them.
I mean, I might get the DVD just to see what's on there.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I'll watch it in French. Find out how to say hi fucking yeah in French.
I fucking yeah.
Yeah, so
Can we
Eddie...
isolate that?
Hi, fucking yeah.
I believe it's the next scene is my favorite, where Eddie goes back to his bedroom where the girl is.
Yeah. Well, see, this scene is great, and it like kind of domino effect causes all the other great scenes to follow. So he survives a murder attempt. He goes home to Diane and continues to scream more, but in her face.
Yeah.
And it's gibberish. Like, it's not him trying to say words that you can't understand. It's literally like blah 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 blah.
He literally is saying just gibberish at points. Yeah, like and at one point he like throws a tantrum on the bed. Like he jumps and starts pounding his fist on the bed. And I don't know what's going on there exactly. But-
And so that is when Diane, very reasonably so, pulls a gun on him.
Well, Eddie also sees the cigar on the
right,
nightstand
right.
that is Lou's brand. So is Diane fucking Lou?
Holy shit. Yeah, he sees the cigar. And like at this point, he's like too mad for it to make him any angrier anyway. So she's just like, all right, pulls out her gap. And let's work this out this way. And she tells him to get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, reasonable.
It is hilarious how like Eddie like lunges at her with his arms out, and then as soon as she pulls the gun, his arms like go directly down.
Yeah.
Like it's so animated that it's unreal.
Yeah, it looks so freaking
Just goes
strange.
completely limp.
Yeah.
When a gun gets pulled on me, I just kind of go dead weight anyway. So
Oh, this is also when he shouts the line, "Am I a fucking retard, man?"
Yeah. What am I, a fucking retard?
and this is when the audience all simultaneously says yes.
Like, was he trying to act like slightly retarded?
You know what?
I can't tell.
I mean, I guess that is how you win an Oscar.
Yeah.
But didn't really work for him. So
How is this not nominated?
it might have been. We'll have to look. We'll have to. I didn't look at the accolades of this one.
This is also like when he's arguing still in front of Diane, where he's like, just sticking out his tongue a lot.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
just,
A whole lot
Oh
of
my God.
craziness.
that's,
And
it's such a good scene.
It's fantastic.
it is
And
great.
it
I
only
think
gets better
the
from
only
here.
the only reason I take the strip club scene over this one is just because of the high fucking yeah.
The high
because-
fucking yeah is the best line ever. Like,
Yeah. I think that may be my favorite Cage line up to this point. High fucking yeah. But yeah, after that we cut over to Michael Bihn's apartment and he's sitting there learning the card trick that Cage had at the start of the film.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's doing a different card trick. It's a certain order for magic tricks where it looks random, but if you know the pattern, you know every card in the
Oh, yeah,
order.
he's trying to memorize the pattern, but he's fucking up.
Yeah, so like he's like, oh, this must be how Eddie's doing it. Why he's figuring that out, I don't know.
I think it's supposed to be some very overt Eddie is being replaced by Joey. Like,
It's
they're
like,
just
so-
even
If I'm gonna
though
do his
it
job.
was pretty already clear after the whole Cage tantrum up to this point that is what's happening.
But I mean, like, to become Lou's new muscle or go-to guy, I don't think you need to know a card trick.
Yeah, that's
But
not
he
a,
convinces himself that that's like the prerequisite.
maybe he's like, whoa, maybe this is why Eddie's around. He's always amazing Lou with these card tricks. So
You have to
He'll
get
keep
money. You have to be able to be the muscle. You also have to know some magic tricks.
Yeah.
Like that's a must.
Lou will
And
keep around a drug addicted psychopath if he can wow him with some card tricks.
best case scenario, when your life of crime doesn't pan out, you can become a magician named Frank Cadillac.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Exactly. It
the
moves on
real
from
foreshadowing here. So yeah, doesn't Diane visit him?
there. Yeah,
also?
Diane.
Yeah.
It's like she's in two places at once. It feels like.
Well, this is apparently Eddie leaves, but then Diane leaves right after and goes to Jones like, oh, Eddie's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's gonna try and kill Lou. You gotta save him. And then he's like, all right, I'll be back. And then runs out and she stays behind at his apartment, locks the door there.
yeah. Cut to Cage in Lou's office, fucking losing his shit. And,
Yeah, he's
punching
threatening.
everything.
He's threatening him and he's being like, yeah, come on with me, man. Blah, 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 blah. And then like
I'm behind your desk now. Who's behind the desk? It's me.
and then Lou's like, we're about to make a whole ton of money together, Lou. Why are you doing this now? We might as well just please, like, we'll make money. There's nothing bad. I'm not sleeping with Diane. And then,
Pick a card.
pick a card. Yeah.
Pick a god.
He's yelling incomprehensible gibberish as he's out in the market tying up Lou. And then as Bean is rolling up on the scene, this is what he's yelling at Lou is, you want to fuck? You want to fuck? We fuck now. I don't know what the fuck that is.
I don't know what he was doing there. Like, he had Lou in his office at gunpoint. So he takes him outside and ties him up
Yeah.
in the
I
middle
don't
of the
understand.
open market.
Yeah, because he wants the gunshot to ring out, you know? He wants people to be aware. Lou dead. Eddie did it. We fuck now.
We fuck now. He's a performer, you know. He's not doing a magic trick. You got to see him executing somebody in the town square or whatever.
And Bean walks up on this whole situation, grabs.
Does an amazing dive.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cage and Bean are fighting right over a deep fryer.
Yeah.
And,
This is my personal favorite scene.
This is
here.
also as he tackles him when all the cards fall out and you
Oh,
realize
yes.
they're all jokers.
oh yeah.
Right. So he was practicing that magic trick for nothing.
Yeah, when you just have the deck of all jokers, you know every card.
Exactly.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's a fun little trick.
I winked at my screen.
Yeah. It does make you think that, like, oh, he was just going for, like, the crazy, like, anything could happen, but really he's in control. I think it was trying to say.
Yeah.
Nothing else in the movie says that, but
There was no evidence that he was in control of any situation whatsoever.
I don't know. Was he in control of his gyrations? That
I hope so. I mean, that's
hold on, we got to cover good vibrations and make it. National Pleasure's next track has got to be good gyrations about Nicolas Cage in this movie.
the crazy thing is when he popped those pills and started shaking around. That was just like Advil.
Yeah.
I don't really know what effect that was having on him. But yeah, Cage is trying to deep fry Joe's head.
so Joe rips off his hair and it reveals he's wearing a wig.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
this-
little touch in there.
This was beautiful. They're struggling. They're kind of trying to grapple each other, and he removes Nicolas Cage's wig. And now this is like the final emasculation.
Yeah.
He's like, oh fuck, you took my job, you effed my bee, and now you ripped off my hair. And
You learned my card trick better.
wait, you did the actual card trick.
But, like, was there really any reason for him to have been wearing a wig the whole time?
No.
No, there was
Like, also, was it ever hinted at that it was a wig?
it was not. I either that they're just trying to like cover somebody's ass because the wig looks so bad the whole movie, and they're like, oh wait, it is fake, which is what they did with the beard.
True.
But yeah, there was no real reason for that to be. Just wasn't necessary.
It
But,
just seemed like out of nowhere that for some reason during this fight he's bald.
yeah, I think it. What it really served as is an opportunity for Joe to distract Cage so he could flip him around and then dunk his head in the fryer.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
shit,
like-
Nick Cage.
Yeah.
We got a deep fried Cage.
Yeah, mostly just his
Cajun
face.
style.
Fuck you. And so my immediate thought was not, oh, that killed him. I thought he was just going to look like a fucking melted man for the rest of the movie, but turns out you don't survive getting your face deep fried,
Mhm.
which I guess
Who
makes
would have
sense.
guessed?
Yeah. I was hoping to see his like eyeballs melt out or something. Definitely look up a screenshot of what that looks
Deep
like.
fried Cage.
Yeah, deep fried Cage.
And well, after that, Lou and Bean together dump Eddie's body, and Lou proposes that Bean replace Eddie, which, yeah, if that wasn't obvious that was going to happen, it's happening now. And he's basically describes to him the con, and it's the same con that he pulled at the start of this movie when he accidentally shot his dad.
Yes.
So, and then Bean's all like, "Oh, I don't know if we can do this. Okay, maybe." And then he runs off home and gets home, and Diane is pointing a gun at him for some reason, and then he gets all pissy.
Which, like, he knew Diane was there.
Yeah.
And he acts so surprised that she's there when he returns. Like,
Yeah, he just starts screaming at her.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, I didn't really get that whole thing. It's like, I understand that he's upset, but he's just like, "You're pointing a gun at me, blah, 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 blah." And then she's, well, okay, it's not actual gibberish like that. That would have been what Cage would have said. But she's all like, "I don't know, you could have been Eddie," and which is a reasonable thing. Like, he was
Yeah.
going around trying to kill everybody, and he's just like, "Whatever, you're fucking, I'm getting roped into this whole thing. I don't want to be here."
I can't do that job because reasons. And
Yeah. It's like, it's pulled right out of my past. Nah. And at this point here, I'm like, I'm calling it. Diane is definitely conning him. I wrote this down right here. She's definitely working with someone to con Bean.
is this when he says "I love you" to her,
Yeah.
or is it the next scene?
I think this is the one. But
Yeah, this is where they profess their love for one another. And
And
Diane's
it's been like 2 days, right?
yeah.
I've known you for 2 days. I've screamed at you once now, and I love you.
And you fucked on the first date
Oh yeah.
while,
I mean,
while you were dating someone else.
now keep in mind they fucked really, really slow.
We fucked
So
up.
they had time to fall for each other.
But Diane proposes, what if you finish the con, get the money, and then we run off and we just live on that money in this life? And Bean's like, all right. And then we cut to Eddie, or not Eddie, I'm sorry, Joey.
wish.
Yeah, I wish Eddie, because once Eddie's gone, there's really not a whole lot left to this movie until, hold on here. It'll be coming up soon. There's a man, a doctor.
If any of you can guess what happens without seeing this movie, you are clairvoyant, because
There's-
I had no idea this was happening.
I feel like they killed Cage's character and then they took like the script from another movie and just kind of slapped it on the end of it.
They're like, oh shit, we still have to go another half hour. Let's quickly do this.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a couple more crazy characters we could throw in
Yeah.
here?
Well, I don't know about clairvoyance, because the next scene, Lou explains what the cake was. He's like, I made this little fake cake for your mom because I loved your mom and your dad loved your mom too. We both loved your mom. We both banged your mom, my friend.
we both Eiffel Towered your fucking mom. Could have been either of our loads in there.
And at that point, I'm
And
like,
he even says like, you could be my son at this point.
yeah.
Your face wouldn't look any different because guess what? Me and your dad, same face.
And the cake was just I don't know, with that reveal of it, I was kind of like, okay, Lou's dad is involved in this too. Maybe he got killed by accident or something, but with the whole cake thing, this was planned to get Bean over there, and I thought maybe Lou and Bean's dad were working together to con his son, and I don't know. So it's not we'll get on with it, but
That's not the part for clairvoyance. It's the guy they're conning.
oh yeah,
Did not see that coming.
I
Yeah.
see.
It-
And speaking of that man, his name is Dr. Lime. And he'll show up soon. We just hear his name at this point. He's like, the mark is Dr. Lime. You're gonna have to do this thing. How's your pool game? Bad. That's good. Okay.
But before we get to Dr. Lime, we get Michael Bean versus the real star of the movie. It's Bean versus Sheen.
The Bean and the Sheen Man.
The Bean
Charlie Sheen.
and the Sheen.
Dressed like Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, so Michael Bean's in like a bar and he's throwing money down on a pool table.
He throws like $1,000 down, and
Yeah.
then Sheen walks up and is just like,
Is this per ball?
yeah, is this per game or per point?
Yeah. Oh yeah, per point. He's a real pro.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, he's kind of wearing the Hugh Hefner jacket. He's surprisingly less oily than Nicolas Cage was. He seems like a character that would be kind of oily. But
He has the one long pinky.
oh
nail.
right, yeah, one long pinky nail because cocaine.
And I think they end up playing classic billiards, not pool. I don't know the rules of that game, but it's the pocketless table where they just got to bounce around and hit the balls.
Which was weird because I'm pretty sure Joey puts his money down on a regular pool table.
Yep. And
And
he's
then
like,
all of a sudden, like, let's play on this one.
Yeah, he's got a table like under a tarp.
yeah.
He's like, check out this fucking table.
Phew, this is what we're doing. Sheen basically immediately scores up 24 points in a 25-point game, and then his assistant sneezes, distracting him. So Bean gets to go. He gets 1 point, and then Sheen wins. And
Yeah.
he's like, you owe me $24,000, friend. My name's Morgan Fats Grip, which is...
Is that really his name?
yeah,
Yeah.
his name was Morgan Grip, but you can call me Fats.
Just call him Fats, because he's suave like that. Yeah, So this is where my notes kind of start to trickle off because
Yeah.
This is when it goes off the rails, like, fully.
Sheen's not really fitting in this role. He's looking kind of weird. And I believe Bean's like, look, I don't have the money, but I have this watch. Like, take a look at it. And he's like, I got a guy in the back who can identify if that's worth the money. So why don't you go back there? And they
Yeah.
go back there, and then he says to himself, damn, I'm good.
and he
But
is.
during that whole pool thing, too, like, Charlie Sheen is just monologuing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
About how good he is at pool.
Mm-hmm.
which you do when you're good at pool. You talk about it while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the key to pool sharking.
I just remember he's just like, geometry, angles.
Yeah, it's all geometry and angles, but it's a little bit of skill, too. And
Don't worry, we never see him again.
And at this point, I have to note: is everyone in this movie just a hammy over actor between Cage, Sheen, like Bean, even too, is
Yeah.
sometimes hamming it up Diane, and
Coburn
then
is he really lays it on thick.
yeah. And I get the answer to that in the next scene as we are introduced to Dr. Lime.
Asked and answered. Dr. Lime, the famous Bond villain that never was.
It's true.
Jewel appraiser for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in addition to everything he does. And he's
Half man, half machine.
he looks just like Dr. Evil with a giant mechanical arm with some hedge clippers at the end.
Yeah,
of it.
it looks like a fucking claw, basically. Like,
Apparently, in this world, is mechanical arm men.
Yeah, that's a thing. And
'Cause
Bean
he's like-
doesn't question it.
Yeah, he's not surprised, like, at all.
feels like the type of character that we maybe could have gotten a glimpse of, like, early on in the movie. So you'd be like, who/what is that thing?
Yeah, what the fuck is going on here?
But they just toss you right into the fucking ring with
Yeah.
Dr. Lime.
In the first shot, I saw he had the mechanical arm, and it's like, wait, is that a mechanical arm? And they cut away, and then his arm is like under the table, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, I must have dreamt that up. That's no way that's what it is. I must have seen something wrong. But then like Michael Biehn puts out his hand to shake it, and Clawman puts his claw on it, and he's like, how do you know I'm not gonna cut it off? And he's like, I don't.
There's also no reason for him to have scissor hands.
Yeah,
it's fucking pointless.
It's not helpful for his jewel appraising.
there's
or
no
anything,
payoff
but-
whatsoever.
It doesn't
No.
help with
Like,
the
you don't
plot.
see him, like,
He do-
circumcise anybody or
Yeah, he
anything.
doesn't use it to fight or anything. Like, why do you have a claw arm?
and so I kept looking at it, like, wondering, one, if he was just, like, wearing something on his arm for some reason. Like his character's, like, just trying to intimidate Michael Biehn. He's like, oh, yeah, I got this fucking, this claw that I'm wearing, and I'm gonna poke you with it in the eye. But that wasn't really the case. I'm pretty sure he probably went down with the USS Indianapolis. Maybe got his
A
arm
shark
bitten
bit
off.
it off.
Right. And so he put that. Let's see, the shark had a suit of armor inside of it. He just kind of reached in. And
That's
how he got
gotta
that.
be it.
I'm
Yeah.
getting word here that the actor who played Dr. Lime is named Angus Scrim.
Yes, he's
What a
from
great name.
the Phantasm series.
What?
Oh,
He's been
that-
in other things.
That is that guy.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
He is the tall man from the Phantasm series.
I have no idea what the Phantasm series even is.
You should watch it.
You
It's
should
like-
you should watch. Okay, watch Phantasm and then watch Beastmaster and Beastmaster 2
Okay.
by the same director because they're fucking insane and they're great.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'll try
Um,
and check it out.
Good old Angus Scrim.
Unfortunately, Nicolas Cage is not in any of those movies.
No, yeah.
He should
Well,
be.
They won't be brought up here we won't be watching them for the podcast. They might be brought up because staying on topic isn't always our strong suit. But
Extra credit for the listeners. Watch every, I think his name is like Don Coscarelli movie. He also wrote a book about all the Phantasm movies that's worth a read if you can read.
so at this point, I have noted, what in the hell is going on?
There, I couldn't tell what movie I was watching anymore.
Yeah,
like,
I thought this was a serious movie, and then fucking Dr. Evil with a mechanical arm shows up.
Wait,
And-
like, so he goes to that back room to be like, "Oh, this watch is super valuable," but
Yeah.
instead he's like, "Actually, I have these diamonds."
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't
oh
bring
yeah,
that up.
I completely forgot about that actually.
He's like,
Oh.
look, it's going to be $9 million worth of diamonds. You just got to pay $2 million for them. And look at that. Good deal, right? And he's like, let me look at these diamonds.
So he basically is, Bean is just like, oh, I tricked my way into this room with a super expensive watch, but here's the real loot. Pops the diamonds out of his pocket. And yeah, at this point, I was kind of halfway super invested in what was happening because I was like, what is happening? But also wasn't sure what movie I was watching anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the-
felt...
At this point, the tone totally shifted.
Yeah, I thought, like, is this like a parody now? I thought this was a serious movie and Nicolas Cage was just acting weird in it, but now that we have fucking Dr. Lime, it's taken on a whole new tone here.
Yeah, I feel like we really would have benefited from having like an early shot of Dr. Lime like holding up a ring in his claw and like looking at it and just so we could be like,
Yeah, maybe he could have been in the cafe with when he was looking for Lou and stuff. I don't know. Just a little foreshadowing to the mechanical arm man.
Right. Give us a life vest so when we're tossed into this scene, we're not completely drowning.
Yeah.
And because it felt like the writers of this movie were like, okay, we got this super cool idea for a character. Don't know what we're gonna put him in or why, but we're making this fucking zany bonkers wacky movie called Deadfall, and it would be pretty cool if after Cage got his screen time out of the way, we threw in this old man with a claw.
I'm pretty sure they were just like, Edward Scissorhands was a really cool movie. What if we made that guy a villain?
Yeah, what if Edward Scissorhands was a Bond villain?
Yeah.
Did you see how much money that movie made? And how also his scissors weren't even gold?
We just slapped some gold paint on there. We're making bank.
Hell yeah. He looks way more baller than Edward Scissorhands. Edward Scissorhands looks like a real beta cuck.
We move on to the deal, the con that's going to go down, and the way Lou is dressed. We're watching a Bond villain with crazy-eyed henchmen make a deal for diamonds with a cowboy.
Ah, yes.
And the thing goes off as planned, kind of. Like, Bean walks up. Well, they have a long standoff saying, like, you don't get to look at all these diamonds. If you want to look at all the diamonds, then the deal's off. No money.
It's a lot of like, show me the money, show me the diamonds. No, you show me the money. No, you show me the diamonds. It's like,
all right, nobody gets no money, nobody gets no diamonds here.
Like, it's tough because diamonds aren't like cocaine where you can just take a handful and throw them up your nose, you know?
You don't see angels from the diamond.
Right. Actually, if you look through the diamond, who knows what
kaleidoscope angels.
Exactly. That's how you know it's a real diamond, if you look through it and you see angels.
So, he goes up and he does the thing. He's like, he's wearing a wire, shoot him. And he pulls out the gun and he's like hesitating because of the thing with his dad where he was like, oh, are there blanks in this? I don't know. And one of Dr. Lime's hench people. Yeah, hench people. Whips out a gun and shoots Lou dead right there immediately.
Big gunfight ensues. The people jump out and they're like, we're FBI!
Yeah.
Like, they go out of their way to say that for some reason.
Yeah.
And now we're finally on the same page as Michael Biehn because both the audience and the character are thinking, hasn't this happened before? Have I seen this? Have we been here?
Yeah, and Biehn runs off with the diamonds and the money, just gets out of the gunfight, and he sees his mom standing there, and just runs off after her. Or his mom in the all black, like the same funeral getup with the red
one
hair.
outfit they got for her.
Chases after her, catches up, and it's Diane, and she's like,
dun, dun, dun.
Duh. And she says she's so sorry, and I'm like, I fucking called it. Like,
she's so sorry because he didn't know that she's his mom, and he's been fucking her this whole time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I called. But
his name was Joe Oedipus, whatever his last name is.
Joe Freudian Slip. That's my contribution.
But yeah, then Joey's dad steps on out, and Mike's like, yeah, I set this whole thing up here, and you couldn't know about it, or the con wouldn't have worked.
Joey's dad, and also, like, the guy who guilted him into, like, killing his dad, and, like, all like, these other side
You should have checked
players.
the chamber, man.
You should have checked the fucking chamber, because you would have found a note in there that said, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, this is the point where his dad is like, hey, look it, we made all this money, like, and he's, like, handed out money to all the, like, key players, and it's finally just, like, him and Joe, and he's like, hey, I'm not dead, we can split this money.
We're gonna split the rest here. It's so good, right? And then Joe is like, no, and pulls out a gun and turns on a merry-go-round that's there for some reason.
Yes.
Yeah, they're at a carousel somehow.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Where was this job taking place?
No fucking. They do it in a kid's amusement park for some reason.
Yeah, it's one of those cons at a carnival.
The classic con at a carnival.
I mean, where else are you going to meet where the cops aren't just hanging out all the time?
Yeah, this is when Joe is like, he pulls the gun on his dad. He's like, is it blanks or is it real? Is it blanks or is it real? And like they just start like yelling, and he fires the gun and it's blanks.
Yeah.
He fires the gun and it turns out the bullet was a Joker card.
Joker's wild.
And the blank firing makes Mike drop the money, or drop the briefcase. It splits open and money spills everywhere. And he's like, no, I gotta pick all this up. Yeah. And then
This is like $2 million.
yeah.
And they
And-
count it on screen.
Bean walks away being like, and that's when I decided to stop counting people because I want to be an honest person. And it's like, okay.
And credits.
yeah, roll credits.
Which-
So it has a good moral to it.
What's
Which
the
is-
moral?
You
Be honest. I don't know.
don't lie.
Yeah.
Check the
But his-
chamber.
But his dad lied and
Yeah, check the
cheated
chamber's a
and
good
faked
one.
his own death to his son and walked away with $2 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And-
no bad things. He got his brother killed, estranged his son, makes a bunch of money, but Bean's a good guy. That's
Is
The
he
point-
though?
That's what's important.
no.
but like too, like Joe could have like got a portion of that money, like even though he didn't like know he was in the job or whatever. He was offered a bunch of money,
Mhm.
and he's just like millions of dollars. No thanks. See ya.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave, even though I could have done this with the money. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do it
he
without
could've-
the money.
He could have walked away with all the money.
Yeah, he really could have. When he dropped the briefcase, he could have just ran up and like snatched all that money, tossed it in the briefcase, and ran away.
Yeah. I don't understand why this movie was made. What was the plan from the get go for this? Was like, okay, I'm gonna fake my death. Then I'm gonna hire this lady who kind of looks like my wife to pretend to be a ghost / illusion,
Mm-hmm.
and then go down to where my brother is, sleep with my son, but then pretend to be that illusion lady again.
Yeah. So that he runs away with a bunch of diamonds and money, and we get to keep it all. Hey.
But- Like that seems like such a convoluted plan for this. Why couldn't Joe know about this?
Yeah, why couldn't he have known in the first place? They didn't even have to run the first con. Like,
They could have just faked his death. Joe still go down there. Everything is the same. He just says his dad is dead instead of thinking his dad is dead.
mm-hmm.
This was all a ruse to get Joe laid. And it worked.
He just had to be thinking about his mom.
Yeah.
You're gonna fuck a ghost.
But like you go to a movie and at the end of it you get an idea of like, oh, this is the message of that movie. What like this is the story they're trying to tell. I have no idea what this movie was trying to tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Like
really nothing at all. I think
conning
that what they were trying.
works.
Yeah, conning works. We're kind of artsy and made a cool movie. Like, look at me. My uncle directed The Godfather and gave me a bunch of money to make this movie. So,
And now, here we are.
This is just as good of a crime movie as The Godfather.
oh yeah,
Uh,
it's up there.
See, it tells twice the story in half the time, which is what's really important here. And
Did The Godfather have a mechanical scissor arm guy?
No.
absolutely not.
And I think it would have really benefited from that if Al Pacino had to work with a mechanical scissor arm.
Yeah,
That
I
would've
think Marlon Brando would still be alive.
Oh,
if,
yeah.
they had just strapped
Whole
an
different
arm on him.
movie.
Whole different movie.
But yeah, final thought. Well, overall thoughts on this film. We'll have final thoughts in the head-to-head matchup.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say, as much as I would like to recommend this movie for the craziness that is like Dr. Lime and things that happen afterwards, really the only reasons to watch this are a couple of scenes that you could probably look up on YouTube. Most of them where Cage is in. Give a good watch to those. Although he doesn't get enough screen time, in my opinion. And then look up Dr. Lime introduction, which is Lyme, according to the IMDb thing.
Yeah.
And just look at that mechanical arm there. And
It would be ridiculous to spell it like the fruit.
yeah, that
Oh,
would be too fucking weird.
We don't want to, completely sound crazy here. I won't lie though. I did think this movie was kind of fucking rad. And that's the T, my friend. It was insane. It was probably the least coherent of all the movies that we've watched so far.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. It kept me guessing.
Yeah. I certainly had a good time watching it. I'll say that. I mean, even though there were parts where I was like, holy shit, like, please do something else.
I have
Yeah.
a similar thing on it where like this is a bad movie, but it entertained me. Like
yeah.
as if I was watching a comedy, but it is not a comedy.
Mhm.
And I don't really know like the extent of the cult following for this movie, but it doesn't surprise me that there is some dark corner of the world where people just love this movie and fucking quote it endlessly.
Hi fucking yeah.
Hi fucking yeah.
Fucking yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it.
I had a good time, mostly. I mean, I don't know how many times I would watch this again unless I got unless I had more drinks. Then I'll probably give a good watch to this.
I think
But-
the most I would do is show people clips of Nicolas Cage,
Yeah.
and that's probably all you need to see.
I won't lie, I could see myself rewatching this just for fun because there's a lot going on, and I feel like there's too much to unpack in just one viewing.
Yeah, I bet you could find a bunch more subtleties that they were maybe sneaking in there.
But is it worth the subtleties of rewatching and doing a deep dive on Dreadfall?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say hi fucking yeah.
Hi, fucking yeah.
Hi fucking yeah.
And on that note, I think we are wrapping up on Deadfall. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back to you with the USS Indianapolis Men of Courage.
Stay tuned.
Break time. Oh yeah. Break time.
That is my favorite song.
It's insanely catchy. I think National Pleasure really did a good number with that one.
I am hashtag living for this, and this is the song.
Hashtag living for it. Well, we'll be keeping in with National Pleasure more as they progress with their career, get a few more things recorded. They're really into. I mean, they write mostly Cage themed songs,
Yeah.
or like Cage movie themed songs. So they as they get more songs, they'd like to have us premiere them on here a couple of times. So we might have more of that in the future.
Fun
I'm just
fact,
really impressed that you were
Hey,
able to.
Purvis
book
just
them.
texted me, the bass player, Rump Roast.
Oh yeah, what do you say?
Hey,
Wow, that's fucking.
You
pretty
gotta
impressive.
respond with a K.
I hear they're against cage-free eggs.
Just send him a dick pic. I think that's what he wants.
Are they against cage-free eggs?
I might.
They want the cage and everything.
They want caged bird
Mhm.
eggs. I mean, that's fine. I feel like the thing with birds is they don't really have like personality or feelings. I don't trust anybody who owns one. So
Yeah, even Charlie Parker, bird, no personality, no feelings.
Yeah.
Well, going on. USS Indianapolis, Men of Courage is the film we're on here. Now, this one has an R rating. Well, I guess Deadfall did too. but-
so tuck the kids in for this one.
and came out in the year 2016. You wouldn't know it from the CGI though, but director Mario Van Peebles, who I had never heard of, but that name was hilarious to me, so I had to look up what he was doing. And it looks like he's mostly a TV director. He hasn't done a whole lot of movies. He's done a lot of TV shows, but did this.
I think that adds a lot of context to this movie, honestly. It does
Yeah.
kind of feel like a fucking 2-hour procedural piece of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
No spoilers.
The production companies for this were USS Indianapolis Productions. So, sounds a little bit like they founded a company just to make this movie. Hannibal Classics. It was distributed by Patriot Films.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Runtime of 130 minutes, budget of $40 million, and it grossed $1.6 million at the box office. But I don't think it's fair to say that because I looked this up and it never got a wide theatrical release. It was available for like a weekend on Veterans Day weekend.
That makes sense.
In theaters, and then it was just all streaming online. So
That's good for
We don't-
one weekend, though.
yeah, pretty good for a weekend.
See, all the true patriots came out to see it. Like you and me and Zach, we all went out. We were in our American flag tuxedos.
Yeah, we all went to see the screening a long time back, and I'm actually going off a memory from that. But
Yeah.
I remember I was standing with a salute the entire time.
oh yeah, you had to keep saluting the Cage Man
Mm.
for
I think
When he
you would
killed himself for our country. But
you only put your salute down to reload your weapon. Because we were just kind of like 21 gun saluting
oh
throughout
yeah,
the entire
But
time.
constantly, yeah.
Yeah. Repeatedly, yeah. And this was
it was
this was
more
actually
like a 21,000 gun salute.
yeah. And this was post Dark Knight Rises, so people were pretty uneasy for the most part.
Yeah, and it was in Aurora, Colorado. So.
we did watch this premiere Veterans Day weekend, Aurora, Colorado.
That does make sense why we kept getting asked to leave.
Yeah, that's true.
But as far as reviews go on Rotten Tomatoes, this has got a 17% on the tomato meter, a 30% audience rating. Metacritic gives it a 30 out of 100 based on 8 reviews, and a 3.4 user rating. So these are all pretty consistent. I mean, I guess the critics on Rotten Tomatoes were about half as nice as the Metacritic critics, but audiences are staunchly sitting at around a solid 3 out of 10, essentially. And kind of describes my feelings about this movie a little bit. But
3 out of 10.
I think this movie's in a weird spot just by being a real historical event.
Yeah.
Where the event itself I find very interesting and should definitely learn more about and read about. It's one hell of a read.
It's a cool thing. You should watch like a documentary or something, or just read something online. But this movie, it's a bit of a fucking slog to get through. It's
this is, like you said, it's a very interesting scenario that these gentlemen found themselves in, but the screenwriters found a way to make it completely uninteresting. So
who would have guessed killer sharks would be uninteresting?
Yeah,
exactly. How do you?
I don't know how they fucked that up.
Yeah.
Some notes here. Cinematography is by Andres Sakula, which I was like, whatever. But then I found out that man did Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and American Psycho. Oh,
Nice.
and Cube 2 Hypercube. So, you know,
Quite a
his,
resume.
Hypercube? Oh, I love that movie.
it all kind of fell apart after that, evidently, because he's working on this movie now. But it was filmed on board the USS Alabama in Mobile, Alabama.
The first lie that this movie tells.
And also in Stockton, California. Oh, the screenplay is largely based on the book In Harm's Way by Doug Stanton. Here's a real fun fact. Top review on IMDb is titled, quote, like an old man's penis without Viagra.
I was kind of in a time crunch, so that's all I could write at the time. But I felt it summed it up very well.
Well, Cage's co-star in this movie, Thomas Jane, they were both married to Patricia Arquette at one point. Little fun fact that has
Same
no
time?
relevance on the film. No.
They were. There's actually a scene in the movie where Patricia Arquette kind of walks in, and the two of them pull on her arms and try to rip her in half.
Wow.
Doesn't work though.
Cage was married to her from 95 to 01. Thomas Jane was married to her from 06 to 11. So at this point, they'd both been out of the relationship for at least 5 years. And maybe they were bonding like, what? Nice lady.
Every time the cameras were off, they were like, so you know how she would do that thing?
And here's another one, a quote I found. The U.S. Navy helped with the completion and finalization of the last draft of the script. So, and you can kind of tell because it gets a little propaganda-y at times.
It's a little blatant.
Yeah.
Borderline blatant.
But
the Navy's just full of camaraderie and
just
together.
totally all good camaraderie, and all the bad decisions that the Navy made can be placed on one man who was in a tower and ignored an order. But yeah,
I blame the Japanese. So
look, we're gonna be honest here, guys. This movie did not have nearly as many interesting things going on it as Deadfall, so our plot summary here is gonna be a little bit shorter, I think.
There's not a ton to talk about. The movie was 2 hours long. And
yet I feel like less happened than happened in Deadfall.
Truly, the Deadfall really packed it all in 90 minutes, and this was trying to draw out something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what story it was trying to tell me outside of these guys got eaten by sharks.
I think that was the takeaway, is that the ocean is scary.
Yeah.
It is fucking dangerous out there.
Nature,
Terrifying.
you scary.
Exactly. If you're thinking of taking a cruise this summer, and
we're not doing the Tom Cruise podcast.
that's
Yeah, he's right. No, you're fucking stop. Wait, there's no Tom Cruise mentions aside from that time I mentioned him last episode.
Okay. Yeah, we've signed an NDA. We're not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah,
But
we don't
if
want
you
the
do
Church
plan-
of Scientology on our ass.
if you do plan on spending any of this summer floating in the ocean, think again.
That's really the big takeaway from this is sharks will jump out of the water and eat you off the side of a raft while you're sitting there doing nothing.
Head first.
Yeah, head first. That was a great shot of the guy who was like looking into the water, and then a shark comes out and bites his head and pulls him in. I love that.
Yeah.
Not joking, for the record. There, that
Yeah.
happened.
And there's some great ADR in that scene also, where the shark kind of yells, "Gotcha, bitch!" as he jumps out of the water.
Anyways, getting on with the plot summary here. We open on a group of Japanese airplanes, the Zeros, at the Battle of Okinawa in 1945. For the person who doesn't know their history, this was one of the last battles fought between the US and Japan before, basically, the US had gotten all the way to mainland Japan, and there wasn't anywhere to go except for invading the island itself. And we see Cage giving orders to fire. It's kind of clear that he's the captain. We get really bad CGI planes bursting into flames and twirling around. Like, I know I said that Next in the last episode had some bad CGI, but this was made almost 10 years later, and the CGI is even worse.
Yeah. What was the budget on this one again?
$40 million.
Okay.
So one plane crashes into the bow of the ship, but they all make it, and we get a cut where they're all the sailors are on leave, and they're repairing the ship at a home port in, I believe, San Francisco. And while they're there, the sailors are all going out doing their things, and what's his face? An admiral in the Navy, who I don't remember what the name of the admiral was, comes up to Nicolas Cage, who's playing Captain McVeigh.
Yeah.
And he proposes to him a mission to escort a top-secret cargo that he will be not told what it is. And it's uranium for the atomic bomb.
He immediately asked, "Is this has anything to do with the Manhattan Project?"
Yeah, which seemed a little out of place. Why would this one guy know about a top-secret project that no one should have known about? Yeah. But
he's a good captain. He knows exactly what's going on behind every door.
Yeah.
This is the point of the movie where I did not know what the USS Indianapolis was before going into this film. And I was like, oh, they're going to transport nuclear bomb parts. Like, that's going to be the exciting thing in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's not it.
Nope. Little did you know about all the sharks.
We're just dipping our toes in right now.
I thought a nuke was dangerous. Sharks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well,
imagine if they had dropped a bunch of sharks on Hiroshima.
Yeah, well, see, during
That's
the
how you
Cold
get
War,
Sharknado.
during the Cold War, there was all that nuclear proliferation that was going on between the United States and the Soviet Union, but they both made a non-proliferation agreement about sharks, and that's not often talked about. People are always worrying about like nukes ending the world, but the real thing, if the two superpowers were using sharks, shit would have gotten
That
really
would have been the
real.
end.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the training now is they make you wade in water with sharks. And if you can't survive that, then you can't join the Navy.
Did find out, though, doing some research about this actual event, the amount of uranium that they had to transport was half the world's supply at that point.
Yeah, I'd read that. I read that same thing, which was kind of cool.
Which is kind of why the sharks were following them so intensely.
Sharks smell blood and uranium.
Yeah, and they had planned to, perform a heist to get this uranium.
Yeah, and they were going to build the first nuke.
Yep, they were going to build the first nuke to kill the, they call them land breathers in this movie. I didn't really care for
the
that.
gillless.
Yeah.
That's more of a racial slur. But yeah, then we get a shot of Cage talking directly into the camera, and I'm like really confused by it because his lips are actually moving, and apparently he's writing a letter. I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was just weird. Usually when someone's writing a letter, it'll be a voiceover, and he's not literally staring at the camera talking, saying what's in the letter.
At first, I thought he was like dictating this letter to somebody, but then he's like, he rips it off and like hands it to somebody.
Like he rips off a note and like crinkles it up and then starts again and then hands another one. And it's, yeah. Then we cut to two cadets showing up at a house, and just for the record here, I'm going to say it, I don't know any of the actors, and I don't remember the names of any of the characters in this film, because most of them got at most like 20 minutes of screen time total in the whole movie, and we were just kind of expected to know who they were. And these two sailors look so freaking similar that I could only tell them apart by their voices, and I didn't know which one was which most of the time.
Yeah, they're just kind of white guys for the most part. There's Nicolas Cage, there's Tom Sizemore, and then there's white guys.
Yeah. Two cadets are showing up at a house in a room full of business magnets, and one of them says, like, we're so proud of you boys. War is good for business, and business is good for America. And they're like, oh, God, no, we don't have any kids in the war. No. My kid owns steel stock, which you boys are contributing to the rise in. So he's just saying there, like, hey, I'm profiting off of your death.
Yeah, and the kid who's in the Navy is just like, cool.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Now the cadets are dancing in a ballroom to some big band music with a few girls. There's a deep stare down between one cadet, who I believe is named Mike. Again, this is weird, but
I'm pretty sure they were like the main focus of the side plots.
Yeah.
Yeah, which for anyone who's not completely invested in this movie, good time to tune out.
Yeah, for the next hour and a half of this 2-hour movie, nothing exciting happens.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I feel like if they would have gone more of a like survival kind of movie, like a Castaway like thing where they focus on, spoilers, the ship sinks, and like them surviving on the ocean, I think that would have been a lot more interesting than here's a bunch of character development for characters who die instantly.
Yeah, characters who die or stories that go nowhere. There's no resolution to the story. Like, literally, it'll just have, like, a story and then just be nothing.
And I think we all understand, like, yes, this is a real life thing. Those are real people. But for a movie, not as interesting.
Yeah, for a movie, like, ideally, like, take out all that extracurricular shit, kind of try to make the viewer feel like they're trapped in the ocean, you know? Like, make it, like you said, a survival movie. You want to feel terrified. Let's make this a horror movie.
Yeah. I think
Anything
I would
but
have
this.
had a lot more enjoyment if it was more
Like a thriller or something.
Yeah. The bad guy is the sharks, not
Exactly.
nothing.
Right. But I think either way, we can agree the good guy is the United States and our wonderful government.
Mm-hmm. Well, the movie seems to...
Who had nothing
ahead
at
and
fault
state that
for
well.
any of these events.
Yeah, none of
That's
it's
true.
Well, I mean, their one fault was that they made this poor man get court-martialed. But other than that,
Twice.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
everything else.
The only thing that they did wrong was work too hard to do their job.
But yeah, so afterwards we cut between the two cadets who I believe are named Mike and Brian. Mike tells that Brian that blonde lady that he was dancing with, he plans on proposing to her before he leaves, and they're all at like a big ballroom dance dinner thing. He sits down, and then we cut to outside, and he's like storming out because apparently her parents offended him because they're all hoity-toity.
I think it was they were dating for like a few months at this point, and she never told her parents. So when he came over and was like, "Hey, I want to propose," they were like, "Who the hell are you?"
Oh yeah, yeah. And well, I think it was also supposed to be that he's like poor and their family's like really rich, and they're like, "You're not marrying this little poor boy. You're gonna marry that boy down the street who owns stock and steel. We're profiting big time off that right now."
Look how much steel he's wearing. He's dripping in it.
Yeah, while that's happening, he's about to propose to her, but then a fight breaks out, a racist fight between a black sailor and a white sailor who are like yelling at each other. It turns into like there's a big commotion. Everyone's standing around it, betting on it, apparently, because
it's the classic fight.
Exactly.
See the theme song. But
Can we get that back?
In the commotion, Mike's engagement ring ends up falling out of his pocket and falls on the ground, and we see just a hand reach down and pick it up, and we don't know who picked it up. But spoiler alert, it'll happen later, and it's a guy whose name I don't know. I know him as Glasses Guy. But
The Weasley guy. Yeah.
He's actually a ghost.
So like he was about to propose to her and realizes the ring's not in his pocket, and he's like freaking out, but the sailors are like, "Hold on, we gotta go, we're shipping out. And they're just like, I love you, and then they run away, and bam, they're on a ship.
Yeah. And he can't propose, so he's just like, "You wanna fuck? Are we fucking?" Or whatever.
Yeah. We fuck now.
We fuck now.
Yeah, we cut to the ship where we see the cage man himself again giving a speech about how they must all function as a complete unit, a well-oiled machine. I'm nothing without you, you're nothing without me. They explain that the ship doesn't have any escorts to detect submarines, and that the battleship can do pretty well on its own against aircraft, but not subs. especially these new things called kaitens, which are manned Japanese torpedoes, where a guy will actually sit in the torpedo and pilot into the ship, effectively doing like a kamikaze torpedo instead of a kamikaze airplane.
And they make it very clear at this point too, the way to get dodge torpedoes was to do this zigzag maneuver, so that they would shoot a torpedo, you'd zig, and it would pass you, then you zag, and the next torpedo misses you. But then Nicolas Cage says like that doesn't work against the Kaitans because they're pilots.
They can be piloted and redirected there. And
I feel like this movie really should have been called Remember the Kaitans.
I don't think we want to remember them though.
No, we do.
Oh, Japanese Navy movie. That's what we need.
We need some Japanese propaganda in this bitch.
Oh yeah.
Sorry to derail.
If you want Japanese Navy propaganda, the Mongolians tried to invade Japan, and a freak tsunami took out their entire fleet. So the Mongolians were like, we're going to build up again. We're going to wait 8 years, and we're going to send our fleet out again and get them. And another freak tsunami took out their entire fleet.
Yep.
And so, remember the Kaitans.
Yeah. At this point, we kind of cut into a Japanese sub with a crewman there, like talking to his dad, kind of. But his dad's not actually there. He's like talking in his head, just having a conversation. And they're like, arm the Kaitans! And they shoot a Kaitan, and a guy gets in it, and it's built up very much, and it misses. And it turns out it was a merchant ship. It wasn't the USS Indianapolis.
Yeah. But I did like that we got that perspective, though.
Yeah. It was a nice little thing to throw in there and see, because for one, it made the little payoff at the end a bit better, because you actually have seen this guy the whole time, and you see that he doesn't want to use Kaitans because a crewman has to sacrifice his life, and it can end up like that where they just used it for no reason, and he just ended up dying somewhere out in the ocean alone, drowning or whatever.
He wants to forget the Kaitans.
Yeah. He doesn't want to remember them. It's time to forget.
I think it was a nice addition to where a lot of World War II films really like dehumanize the Axis powers, not to defend the Axis powers. They're little things that went on, but like it's good to remember that those are people too.
Yeah, like not every individual soldier was an evil, was Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, and Hitler had feelings too. He had thoughts and desires, and
I heard he loved his pet dog.
Exactly. He couldn't have been that bad.
But we then cut to the black crewman on the ship who, in case you didn't know, at this time in U.S. history, the military was not yet integrated. It was segregated, and the only black crewmen on most Navy vessels were servants to the captains, or they just get food, they do whatever the captain or the higher-up crew wanted. So they're showing up there, the black crewmen, they're spitting in the captain's pie because they don't much care for him at this point. And they put
hot sauce in his coffee.
Yeah, hot sauce in the tea for one of the other...
Oh, yeah.
For the asshole, like,
the one who's literally his entire personality trait is that he is an asshole. Yeah. And he calls them racial slurs after he receives his tea promptly.
We get a great shot of Nicolas Cage eating the pie, and he's like, "What do you put in this pie?" And they're like, "Spit. We put spit in fucking pie."
Oh yeah. And then we cut and see the glasses man has the Mike's ring, and he's just like looking at it all like fancy. Then we see a bunch of crewmen talking about sharks, which is the first of very, very, very many times that sharks will be brought up before they are eating people. Because they really want to foreshadow that for you, in case you didn't know.
Nature's you scary.
There's no subtlety whatsoever. They're like, hey, we're going out on this boat here. What's crazy? There's like water beneath us, and like in that water, it's like some crazy fucking sharp tooth mean boys out there.
He's like, if the Japs get us, then we're gonna go overboard, and I'll tell you what's a lot more dangerous than the Japs when we're overboard. It's them sharks.
And he looks directly down the lens of the camera.
There's fucking sharks in these waters.
And you know what? There fucking was.
There was at least 2 sharks.
Yeah, there are at least 2, maybe even like 5,000 sharks in this movie, I think. I don't know. Like, the majority of the movie, there was a shark somewhere, even if it wasn't eating someone, it was just there.
And nothing makes sharks hungrier than American soldiers.
Yeah.
So
And after they're done having a chat about sharks, they've got a little bird in a cage, and he goes like, this is a dove of peace. This is a good luck charm. And then one of them's like, hey, my dad raises pigeons. That ain't no dove. That's a pigeon. And then they're like, oh. And it just cuts away from that. So I guess the good luck charm is not so lucky.
But we're led to believe that they have stock in pigeons.
Then we cut to, we're at the Mariana Islands. They dropped off their cargo. Cage is like, okay, we dropped off our cargo. Can we get an escort now for the return journey since there's no reason to be secretive anymore? And it's like, you can't have an escort. You were never here. And then just walks away. That's the end of it. And then he's like, all right, fine. We don't have escorts.
But then Diane from Deadfall walks in.
And as that scene fades out, what we are shot, it is Nicolas Cage is standing there. And it's being filmed through the jaws of a shark. Like somebody had a shark jaw bone hung up on the wall.
Yeah.
Because it was a naval base, and I guess they caught a shark. And it's like, okay, more shark foreshadowing. It's kind of like the elephants in Bangkok Dangerous.
Yeah, it was the same thing. I was thinking the entire time there might be sharks later on in this movie.
I'm starting to think that this might be a shark movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's getting close there. I'm getting some hints.
By the way, this is like hour and 15 minutes in the movie, I think.
Yeah, it's at least 45 minutes in.
And a lot of the like guys on the ship, they'll just yell out random stuff like, "Yeah, I'm chewing over here with my jaws."
Then they're in a shower again, and while they're in the shower, somebody walks up with a National Geographic with the spread of a shark, and just shows it to them, and they're talking about sharks again, and I'm like, whatever. All of a sudden, we cut to the Japanese sub, and they have spotted the Indianapolis and launch 2 torpedoes, both of which hit, and the Indianapolis starts going down, like random explosions happen.
There's a couple guys on fire running around.
Oh yeah, there's a guy with a really bad CGI arm on fire where he just stands still for like 5 seconds with his arm in the air, and there's just really bad fake flames over that, and it's got this this 80-yard scream over the top of it. That doesn't sound right.
It's really hard to animate over moving objects, so if you guys can just hold still while you're acting, that'd be great.
Just hold still, scream, look at my arm, it's on fire.
I hope there's not a shark coming.
My arm is on fire, I need a shark to suck it off. Suck off the flames.
Yeah. So they send out an SOS, and it's at a Philippine naval base. It's picked up. A Navy officer is like, that could just be a Japanese ruse trying to lure us out there so they can sink us. Don't do anything until you get exact coordinates. So they ignore the SOS. Cage orders them to abandon ship. As they're running around, a National Geographic magazine with a picture of a shark is on the floor of the thing as it's filling up with water, floating around, because just in case, the sharks are coming. The shark.
This is the movie that actually taught me to be like observant, because I was spotting these sharks like, I think the director is trying to tell us something here, and it turns out I was right.
I think the one standout scene for the sinking of the ship is there's 2 guys in the brig.
Oh yeah.
One's one of the black guys who's in the fight. One's the white guy.
Yeah.
And like one of the cooks comes with the keys and lets out the black guy. And then they
drops
drop the keys into the water that's filling up and start running out. You just hear this like one guy in the brig like yelling like, come back to save me.
Yeah.
Like it's really sad that this guy's gonna drown, basically trapped.
Mm-hmm.
But then the one guy who fought him comes back in and finds the keys, gets him out.
Yeah, dives under the water, gets the keys, opens the cell, and then as he's trying to get him out, an explosion happens and it knocks him into the cell, which closes behind them, and they're both locked in. Which, I don't know if you remember that happening, but I was like, oh shit, so that whole thing was so that they could drown together and die together, I guess? But then,
more romantic that way.
Yeah. They die in their embrace, and it's like the Titanic or something. Well,
it's like Lost. It's Jin and Sun on Lost, Rest in peace. Spoilers.
When they're both trapped in there, then like they're both praying and like saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry for like all this shit I did to you and all that stuff."
Yeah,
it's pretty touching.
It is touching, and then the ship is tilting upwards while this is happening, and from the weight of it, it just splits in half, and it just so happens to split in half right at their cell, so that they swim out and escape and get out together.
A little bit of Hollywood magic.
It's some action movie stuff, I guess.
Kind of a ripoff of the Titanic that the ship sank, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You got to come up with
Well-
more original ideas.
What else is gonna happen to a ship? That would be dangerous. What is it gonna get set on fire and flip upside down?
There
That'd
could
be a
be
ridiculous
pirates
movie.
that take it over and become the captain now.
Exactly.
I bet they would say, like, look at the captain and say something like,
Look at me.
"I am the pilot of this ship."
I
Or
am
like
the
a-
pilot of the ship.
Or like a twist where like the iceberg was one of the members of the crew the whole time.
Oh shit!
A twist where the iceberg was Ice Cube.
yes. Now we have a
Let's
movie.
reshoot the Titanic with Ice Cube as the iceberg.
I like it.
Let's reshoot the Titanic Rob Zombie style, by which I mean more violent and more boobs.
We see Cage on the side of the ship ordering everybody to go over. He's planning on leaving the ship last, but an explosion knocks him off the side and he's thrown headfirst into the water, where he immediately sees a shark swimming by him upon entering the water.
Instant he lands in the water, a shark just brushes right past him.
Nothing draws sharks in closer than oil and debris.
Yeah, if it's not blood, explosions wake him right the fuck up.
Yeah. They got to get there and see what all this explodiness is about. 'Cause,
Exactly.
I mean,
They
they're
think it's
starved
the-
for anything to watch that's entertaining. I mean, I know I was at this point. But so the sharks have to be too.
They're just waiting for something to happen, and so are we. You really sympathize with the sharks in this one.
So then we cut to the next day. It's daybreak. There's a bunch of men floating on a piece of wood. One of them is eaten by a great white while they're there. Just sharks eating people immediately right out the gate.
There are many scenes where it's a bunch of guys talking, like floating in something, and then one of them just gets eaten.
Yeah. And in fact, that's the majority of this movie is people talking, floating on a thing, bam, shark eating people.
Which is what I came to see.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, they could have gone with more setup in different ways. It's just like, it's always conversation, shark shows up. Conversation, shark shows up.
yeah, it's quite one note.
They set up at this point too that there's like 3 distinct groups of these
Yeah.
people.
One of them is just Cage and,
and guy without a leg.
yeah, guy without a leg, Tom Sizemore, I guess. And then there's group A and B, which are about a mile apart, I think it says.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Officer Dickhead, as I'm going to call him, he's sitting in a raft alone, a giant raft alone, with a life vest on while he's in the raft and saying, like, you need to leave the rafts for the injured and for the officers. And he's just yelling and pointing a gun, like shooting a gun in the air, like, yeah, get out of there. Let the injured and the officers in that raft. Get out.
He's just screaming at people who are fighting for their lives, as you do.
Captain Cage is south of both of the groups. He's chilling there, you know. Other groups chilling. They're all doing their thing. They're like, "Where is everybody? I don't know. Let's live." A seaplane flies out.
Let's live. They did discuss that beforehand.
Yeah, it's like, guys, I think the imperative here is that we live.
Let's put it to a vote. Should we live or should we die?
Yeah.
They're like drawing a map and scribbling around, and you see the paper, and it says live, and they're circling it.
Then we cut to, group of people talking and laughing. The black and white soldiers seem to be getting along. They're just making the best of the situation. Bam, dude's eaten by a shark.
All it took for them to get along was the sinking of a ship.
Guys, we figured out how to end racism.
We
Throw
gotta-
everyone in the ocean.
Yeah,
We gotta
throw them
put-
all in the ocean and let people start getting eaten by sharks, and bam, no more racism.
Unless
Oh.
you're a dickhead officer.
Yeah. Then you'll just keep it right up. And in the aftermath of all the shark eating, one black soldier named Theodore swims all the way away from the racist CEO, and I guess he's just out there swimming. He's just gonna do it, and he's swimming to nowhere. in
I think it
particular.
was like he was trying to lead a shark away or something.
Oh, that
Like,
might have been.
It wasn't fully clear why he just started swimming,
Mhm.
but that's what I took it away as, because it was like during a shark attack, this guy just starts booking it.
I just assumed that he, saw an island and was going for it,
Yeah.
but
Could've
then
been.
he didn't. So
Maybe Nicolas Cage is his island.
he's
No man is an island unless it's the cage. But he manages to make it all the way from one group over to Nicolas Cage, and he just gets in the boat, and Cage is like, "Whoa, what?" And he's like, I swam. They're all the way over there. They're like out west over there or something." He's like, "Hold on, I'll be back. You give this guy some morphine. He's dying." Like, and Tom Sizemore starts yelling about seeing angels, and he's like yelling, and he's like, "I don't want to see the angels. I want morphine. Give me my morphine, damn it."
Well, stop taking that cocaine.
exactly. Stop with the cocaine. You're seeing angels. Get a little morphine in you. What the doctor ordered.
So yeah, Cage goes off to try and find the other crew. He doesn't, but he finds some other people who got separated from that group, and they all clump up. Theodore's apparently a writer. He's reading to the dying guy, and the dying guy's like, yeah, you're a real good writer. You got to keep doing this. They're all listening to his journal entries and stuff. And we find out it's been 2 days at sea with no rescue. They had 2 days of supplies, so now they're officially out of supplies.
They're like, wait, is this after they're passing around that can of Spam?
This is like at the same time.
Yeah, everybody take a hit of this can of Spam.
Yeah.
We're gonna 1 per day.
Yeah, they have to like super ration, and everyone's dehydrated, starving, exposure.
How come they don't just drink some of that water that they're surrounded by? You know what I'm saying?
That's like, I mean, you
Because
surrounded
plot
by
hole.
Yeah, it's like, how can you be surrounded by water and thirsty?
Water everywhere, so let's all have a drink.
Exactly. Like being in the desert and you're, I'm cold.
We see at the other group, a guy starts throwing up over the side of the boat, and bam, shark comes up, bites him in the head, and pulls him right in. And then everyone's like, a shark! That hasn't happened already like 5 times. But
Oh God, I forgot we talked so much about sharks.
We're quickly going through this, but there's just scene after scene of, hey, how's it going? Good, you? Oh, I'm fine. Shark attack.
Yeah, this has happened like 15 times. I don't know.
Yeah, they just want you to think that there's going to be a normal conversation finally, but then, oh wait, whoops, there's a shark.
No normal conversations around sharks.
Mm-hmm. That's the other thing that attracts them. So let's get a list going. We got blood, we got
Oil,
we
debris.
got debris, bombs, and then whatever I just said.
Conversations.
Yeah. Shooting the shit. It'll attract the sharks.
Yeah. That's,
In fact,
that's a really
if we
good-
look out the window right now,
the sharks are just looking. Oh man, there's a
For
damn.
those viewers at home, there's a giant shark outside the window.
It's
just-
kind of scary.
it's
It's a
tapping on
pool
the-
shark. It's actually Charlie Sheen from the previous movie.
I'm sorry, fats.
Oh yeah, Fats.
Just keep
Fats
going
Grill.
on about angles and geometry.
He's yelling, "Damn, I'm good." But
I'm a shark and I love geometry.
well, we cut back to the other group. They're throwing the legless man overboard. I guess he's died, and Cage is crying.
I thought they just did that because he was kind of annoying.
It's just, dude, quit talking about morphine, man.
Dude,
Why are you holding your leg?
I've never heard somebody whine so much.
Oh, look at me! I don't have a leg. You know what, dude?
I'd kill to have one less leg weighing me down right now.
I could eat my leg if it wasn't on me.
I mean, I want to lose like 25 pounds. That's one way to do it.
Cut your leg right the fuck off.
So the other CEO, who's a dick, or CO, not CEO. I'm sorry.
The CEO of the boat.
The CEO of the Dickhead Corporation is he's like, we've just seen an island over there. Y'all, it's some of you come with me. You white guy, come with me. You white guy, come with me. You white guy, come with me. All you black guys, you're staying behind. Haha. And he's like, well, can you leave some of the supplies? And he's like, yeah, here's the supplies. That raft over there that these other white guys just got out of. You can have that. We'll see you.
Here's the other supplies. You can have a bag of bricks.
Here, hold this shark bait for me.
Yeah, I'm leaving all the sharks for you guys. We're gonna go to this island.
And a bucket of minnows you guys could take care of for me.
And yeah, so they go off to that island, and we never see from them again for the entire rest of the movie.
Was there even an island?
I don't know. Like, it didn't show up in the distance of the shots. Like, he's looking in binoculars, but you can't see it.
Yeah, they were definitely setting us up for a sequel.
Yeah.
And it's only been a few years. We might get it. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
They're trying to set up the dark universe. It's going to be the Mummy, the USS Indianapolis, the Invisible Man.
It's yeah.
This was actually the Sharknado prequel.
Hmm.
I mean,
This is where the sharks get the taste.
Oh, and then the tornado comes from the
The nuke.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's shit.
yeah, okay. You know what?
I was gonna say that like tsunami tornado that took out all those Mongolian ships, but so Brian, we cut to Brian and Mike who are in a raft together, and Brian's confessing that he loves that girl that Mike was proposing to, and Mike's just like,
You missed a shot.
Cool. Yeah, you missed a shot. And
if
then,
we get back, you can fuck her one time.
yeah, and they're sitting there with their legs over the raft, and a shark just bites them in the leg, and then they like punch it in the face, and it lets go, and he is pulled into the raft, and he's like, this is gonna hurt my dance game.
And they all laugh as he bleeds out.
Yeah. So Mike's dying, and he's telling Brian like, take care of Clara when I'm gone, which I just learned at that part was
Was
the
her
name. Yes.
Remember to only fuck her one time.
Day 4 now, everyone's like all weary and shit. There's a guy carving a raft with a knife. There's a voiceover from Cage saying, we're all going crazy out here. I guess they're all out of food. They're starving. Like, if you look around, nobody's talking. They're all staring downwards, doing nothing. And sharks are like swimming by and like knocking people's arms. And then they're just like, they're like zombies out there.
Not much to talk about out there, you know?
Nothing to eat or drink. And
There's plenty to get eaten by, but
look on the bright side.
we find out that the black guy who's in the fight has gone blind now, as a bomber flies by and sees the oil spill from their ship. And
he says, where? Where is it?
they also spot some of the survivors. They were about to drop a bomb because they assumed it was a Japanese sub that was by the oil spill, but then they see the survivors and stop dropping the bomb. A seaplane comes by and like lands, and everybody gets onto the boat. And Cage is standing there like, I'm fine out here. Get my men out of the water. And then they get like a all teary-eyed like, bum, bum, bum. You know that military music where it's like a single horn in the background and then like a snare drum rattle?
And you just get like a
and you
single
see, like,
tear in your
a
eye.
salute and a single tear like going down people.
There's an eagle flying by whose wings create such a wind that an American flag starts waving majestically.
Yeah. The same guy as before who was yelling about it being a Japanese ruse is like, no, you don't know. You can't land the plane there. Like, the Japanese sub is probably still there waiting to sink your ship. We can't send out ships. And then the guy's like, well, I can't take off my plane again, bitch, so send some ships. And then he's like, grrr. And then we get cut to like 3 destroyers coming out there to pick them up. And we cut to a boardroom with 2 guys who are higher ups in the Navy very directly saying like, hey, this is the biggest sinking in the history of the war at this point, and we didn't pick them up for 4 days. We didn't even get proper intel, and any of it that was ignored. And then the other guy's like, yeah, we're gonna have to pin this on somebody. They literally say that right there, like, very directly. And
who's the obvious choice for their own ship going down? Let's pin it on the captain.
Like, wait, hold on. Can we blame one of the black guys?
yeah, he didn't serve the tea right.
Tasted like hot sauce.
It does like a montage of like everyone going to their families and like hugging all those people or whatever.
Yeah.
Then it's Nicolas Cage's house, and one of the higher ups in the Navy comes by and is like, oh, I need to talk to you. Like, hey, you're going to be court-martialed. But also, don't tell anyone. We knew that there was a Japanese sub in the water.
Yeah,
and
we knew
tell
that
you.
was going down. That was negligence on our part. You should have had escorts. I'm so sorry. And then he's like the one who denied him the escorts too.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're trying to like make this guy seem better by telling him the info, but it's like, no, because you're kind of part of the reason why this happened. But yeah, Cage is having like PTSD dreams. He's getting hate calls, hate mail and stuff, like ringing on the phone, talking about how he's a terrible person.
Yeah, from
Brian,
the families of the survivors specifically. Yeah.
And apparently the media is like painting him out to be like, this is his fault, and that's why he's being court-martialed, and he caused all these deaths, even though he was just trying to save his people.
Yeah, score 1 for the fake news media.
Fake news. This is the start of fake news.
This is where it began.
And, well, Brian is visiting Clara, confesses their love to her. She's already pregnant with Mike's baby, but is showing no signs of it, which confuses me because they were gone for at least, like, 4 months.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, well, you gotta have a bit of a baby bump, right? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you were, like, throttling her. Like, why don't you have a baby bump?
Yeah, so Cage is being court-martialed. All the soldiers are together partying, and they're going to show up at his trial. And I wrote at this point, holy shit, will this movie ever end?
Spoiler alert, it never did.
the prosecutor is interviewing Cage, and he's like, "So can you tell me about when you got off the ship?" And then Cage is like, "Yeah, here's how I got off." And they just show clips from earlier in the movie where he gets exploded off the side and flies into water. And the prosecutor has like tears building up in his eyes and his lips quivering, and he's just like, "No further questions, Your Honor," and walks away. Like, and I'm just like, "Come on."
And they're like grilling him on when he called for the abandoned ship, and then when he actually abandoned ship, which was now refresh my memory, it was like a flat 10 seconds.
So he's being court-martialed for 2 reasons, or he has 2 different like court-martials. One is for failing to do the zigzag maneuver, and then the second one is failing to abandon ship in a timely manner, or something.
Yeah,
something along those
failing
lines.
to call for the abandoned ship within a timely manner.
Yeah.
So, like as said earlier in the movie, Nicolas Cage was saying how zigzag won't work against chitons.
Yeah.
And then the abandoned ship thing was like he wasn't even on the deck at the time, and he like called for it as soon as he could. But they're just painting him out to be this negligent captain.
And then on the matter of the zigzagging, the prosecution calls to the stand the Japanese sub-commander who launched the torpedo to sink the ship. He comes up and testifies. We get a clip showing that he did not use a Kai-10 because he wanted to save the life of the crew member who was going to pilot the Kai-10, and it was just normal torpedoes. So then the prosecutor's like, "Do you think that they could have dodged it?" And he says, "No, even the zigzag maneuver wouldn't have dodged it because we were way too close to them. They were fucked, and we the bomb." Well,
and then they got
we
the
got
dropped.
the bomb. Yeah.
Jokes on those fuckers. That's what he said, not me. That wasn't me. He was saying.
Then we see Captain Cage, as I'm writing here, is
Cap for short.
Yeah. He's acquitted of failure to call to abandon ship in time, but is found guilty of failing to zigzag the ship, and I think he's like stripped of his ranks and unable
kicked
to.
out.
Yeah. So after the trial ends, Cage walks out and immediately walks up to the Japanese soldier, and they talk to each other, and the Japanese man says, like, "I was doing my duty as a soldier of the Imperial Army and to my government, but I do have regrets about what happened there." And then Cage says, like, "Yeah, and I dropped off the atomic bomb, and that kind of fucked you guys up, and I kind of regret that too, even though I was doing my duty as a soldier."
It's a nice scene of like, we did what we were told, but as a person, we regret it.
I was just following orders.
Yeah,
I made a big whoopsie, but I still like you.
yeah. Basically.
Can we be friends? And then we get an end scene where Cage is saying, like, "Well, my wife died not soon after this, and the
like
dreams of..." What?
He killed her, right?
Yeah, he fucking murdered her. He, in a blind rage, he was like, just started murdering her. That got very little screen time for how significant it was.
Yeah, he was like having a dream that he was sleeping next to a shark, and he woke up and turned around and just
gave her
harpooned
a good sucker shark punch. So Cage is reflecting on his dead wife. He says the dreams of the dead men have never stopped, and all these hateful phone calls, and you just see him putting his pistol up to his head, and then it zooms out, and there's a gunshot, and Cage kills himself again. So
again.
Out of 3 episodes we had, only 2 of which where we've done movies so far, and we're just a general overview. Cage has killed himself twice in these episodes. So
We've had 4 movies.
Can't wait for the next episode.
2 instances of him doing magic tricks and or blowing his own brains out.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. The magic tricks.
Yeah.
It's either suicide or magic.
They go hand in hand.
That would be actually a good title for this podcast. Suicide or magic.
And it closes with photos of the crew and interviews with actual crew members talking about the sharks mostly. And
Big and had teeth.
yeah,
Scary.
they're real big. And I remember if you punched one in the eye, it would be like, "Ow!" and stop eating you.
Oh, and they were like big and angry. Fucking remind me of my freaking ex-wife.
But yeah, that's the end of the film there. And like we said before, my final opinions on this thing are that I mean, it's a cool concept, and I bet you could make an interesting movie out of this, maybe. But go and watch a documentary about this if you want to learn more about it. Don't watch this movie.
There's no reason whatsoever to watch this movie.
That was for me because again, like I hadn't heard of this event ever, like going into it. Like I didn't even know the ship was going to sink.
Thanks to the American education system.
Public school.
Continue.
But after watching it, I was interested in what happened, and like I did more research and everything. Like turns out their SOS was picked up by 3 different stations.
Mhm.
At one of the stations, the commander was drunk. At the second station, the commander told the people, "Do not disturb me for anything," so they just ignored it. And then the third one was the one in the film. And like how all the survivors now like meet up every year, and like I think at 2017, like there was 17 people left.
Oh, yeah.
That like tell
And that-
all the stories and everything.
Yeah, and that was when they found the wreckage of the Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like, was 2017.
Some could say that because they found the wreckage in 2017, a year after this movie, that this movie is the reason they found it.
Exactly.
And in case we didn't say, there was a 1,195 crewmen and only 300 survived.
Yeah. Serious death
Which-
toll. It's 900 people dead is kind of messed up, especially considering I don't know. There's probably not any stats out there because I don't know how you would figure this out. But how many survived the ship sinking but died waiting in the water?
I think that's actually listed.
But either way, it's sad.
Yeah, it was the biggest loss of life from one ship during World War II.
hmm Which I didn't know that, but until after this. But yeah,
Which
it's also the
yeah, it's a really interesting thing to like learn up about. Again, a documentary would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
still with Nicolas Cage involved.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, he was
Narrating
even
or playing the
narrator.
sharks.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, instead we get like a slog full of side plots that all go nowhere, have no meaning, and don't do anything really, and a whole bunch of conversations briefly interrupted by poor CGI shark attacks, and a whole lot of dialogue talking about nothing at all. But we do get another Cage suicide, so that's Cage suicide count 2, Cage magic trick count 2.
and those are tallies that will be ongoing because I'm almost certain that we haven't seen the last of him shooting himself in the head.
yeah.
One other thing I found of note. So in early 2000s or early 90s, Bill Clinton acquitted the captain for his court-martial, like turned it
Yep.
over. That process was started by a 6th grader who
Oh,
for
wow.
a history project was like looking into it, and then it turned into a congressional investigation and went all the way up to the president signing off on it.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is. I don't,
That wouldn't that have been a much more interesting story to tell?
yeah,
Honestly,
probably.
a 6th grader changing the world. That's a story.
So for all the 6th graders out there listening to
Don't give up.
Yeah, you've got this.
Write
The
that
things
letter.
you write, all those persuasive essays that make you write in class, write to the president about things that happened, like 70 years ago. Or,
Yeah,
well,
and,
at that time, 50.
if we're talking just intelligence, the president's basically a 6th grader himself.
ooh, topical.
Got him.
Uh-huh.
He's a dumb fucking idiot.
Well, shall we move on to the vote?
The vote.
Dun,
Oh
dun,
yeah,
dun,
we haven't
dun,
voted.
Dun, dun, dun. So, what stood out about each of these movies? Deadfall, Cage's acting certainly stood out.
Cage's acting, the lack of coherence.
Dr. Lime.
Dr. Lime, standout character.
Terrible movie, very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic movie. Terribly entertaining.
What stood out about the USS Indianapolis? Sharks?
Sharks. If I'm being honest, really nothing.
Yeah.
I found that movie very interesting. I would not say entertaining.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't watch a movie about this. I would not watch this movie again.
Mm.
But it did make me learn a lot more about it, which I
Yeah.
think is the goal of that kind of movie.
Yeah, actually, it was during this that while watching this movie, I kept stopping and going on Wikipedia and reading more in-depth stuff about this, which I found to be a lot more interesting than the movie I was watching, and I was
Yeah,
kind of
like that movie really should have been a documentary.
yeah. anyways, shall we get to the vote?
Yeah. I
Dave,
think,
can we get a countdown here?
No.
All right, motherfucker. Well then I'll count it down. 3.
7.
Oops.
3. I think it's 3-6 Mafia.
3,
6,
5.
9.
Yeah. Damn, she fine.
11.
5-11.
3-11.
3.
Let's on the count of
2.
3-11. Let's all say our
1.
vote.
Deadfall.
Dreadfall.
It's Dreadfall.
Yeah, we all fucked up the title.
Dreadfall is advancing.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have
That
known?
was unanimous too. I wasn't sure whether or not that would be unanimous because I mean, USS Indianapolis is objectively a better made film, I would say, aside from the poor CGI. It's just not entertaining.
Yeah, if it was more entertaining, I would 100% go for that one. But it slogs through all that beginning.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of nothing going on really, and it's all
They easily could have cut 45 minutes from that movie.
Yeah, just show me Nicolas Cage blowing his brains out so I don't have to.
yeah. Yeah, if you want to watch a movie about shark attacks, watch Jaws or Deep Blue Sea or something. If you want to watch a movie about World War II, watch like Saving Private Ryan or
Jaws.
Tora 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 or
Jaws does reference the USS Indianapolis.
True, it does.
And
That's
Tom
excellent.
Sizemore is in Saving Private Ryan, so it all comes full circle.
Yeah, there we go. So many different ways you can like this.
So what we're saying is watch Jaws and Saving Private Ryan and skip USS Indianapolis.
Watch
true.
anything but this.
Well, yeah. So it looks like next time when we gather, our matchup is going to be Knowing versus Arsenal, both
Oh, yes.
of which I know nothing about, and I don't have an arsenal of knowledge regarding.
We'll cut that out.
But yeah, we'll see you next time. Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear us next time.
Oh wait, quick, Zach, did you have anything to plug?
Yeah, if you guys
besides your
can,
butthole.
you guys can use my link to Hello Apron. You'll get a free meal.
Oh yeah.
At the expense of taking away a meal from Nick.
And for me, you can donate to. I just started a foundation where we are trying to kill the remaining survivors. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
It's a moving thing to finally have them join their crew. You know what I mean? The rest of their crew.
We just
You should really
we
cut
want them to
that.
go home. They, because they're not seeing angels here. So, oh god.
All right, and on that note,
I'm seeing angels.
I fucking yeah.
we're
Bye,
seeing
fucking
angels, and you'll hear us next time.
I fucking yeah.
Hi fucking yeah, and good night.
Good night.
Cage fight. Oh yeah. Cage fight. Nicolas Cage.
This has been a Solid Work production.
Solid work. Solid work. Solid work. Hey, solid work.